Hello and welcome to the Computer Game Show. My name's David Turner. I'm here with James Farley.
Hello.
With Matt Murray.
Hello.
And at the last minute, John sneaked onto the podcast. What happened there?
I had my whole thing that I was going to say, and then you've just confused me. Well, I don't know. I just said I'd be on it.
All right.
Yeah.
And what was the whole thing you were going to say?
I was just going to say, what the hell is happening? But then I realised if I said that after the question you asked, it wouldn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't really make much sense now either, but there you go. So before we crack on with the feedback, first of all, sorry about last week. That happened, didn't it? It was always going to go to pot without Sean. I didn't realise that he was the blue tack that held us together. First of all, I'd like to say that I had nothing to do with it. I was quite happy to record last week. So
hang on. But you did say it wasn't really ideal to record on the weekend, didn't you? And that's when I was available to record.
Whoa. What? Sorry, you can't complain because I can't make the time that you moved it to.
I didn't move it at all. I just said I'm not able to make it. So we could do it on the weekend if you want.
You told us this a few days before we started recording, and we'd already said about recording on the Monday night the previous week when we'd all met together. I'm pretty sure that holiday was booked, right?
I definitely, I was booked, and I said about a week or two.
Because was it 2 weeks?
Definitely.
No way, because we'd spoken about doing a three-man show for ages. Absolute bullshit. James, you had a legit excuse, really, didn't you?
Yeah, I had a sick kid. You know, it happens, you know.
Not 100% sure that that's the truth, but we'll go with it.
It's the truth. Seriously, do you want the pictures?
Look,
that back. Sounds weird.
We're back now. Before we get to the feedback, I thought I'd just quickly say, you know, when you're next playing a game and there's a loading screen there and you got nothing to do, you got your phone in your hand, just subscribe to the Russell Brand on Radio X podcast. That's it. That's all.
Dave, what is this? Have we been sponsored?
No, I just don't worry about it.
Well,
I'm just saying, download that podcast. It's a good podcast. It's funny.
It's a great podcast, but why?
Thinking about the glass, Matt. I'm thinking about the glass, innit? Know what I mean?
Don't ruin the podcast.
I'm thinking about that fucking glass. Right, okay, feedback. What's happening?
Well, it's been a good couple of weeks since the last show, so it's all a bit over the place, but we'll go for it anyway. I mean, obviously, you know, we did a live show, brilliant. We didn't do a show last week, bad feedback, but we'll move on from there. Adam Turner, listening to old Computer Game Pod, and David Turner's called it on the Nintendo Switch reveal. Basically, Dave, you predicted in episode 4 that Nintendo would announce the Switch to the world by releasing a video online.
I would like to stand up and go, yeah, I am the man on this one, but I think that's a pretty obvious prediction.
Yeah,
so I don't think I could. Although there was I think I listened back to it, and Matt, you were sort of saying no, they're definitely going to do it on stage. I'm pretty sure you were pushing go and do it on stage.
I said a lot of things. I also said it would have CDs. So
Matt often says a lot of things, and it is
funny because I have been listening to some old TCGS recently, and some of the bullshit we come out with is absolutely unreal.
So I mean, was this last week's?
It's every fucking week. We listen to that whole "it's got CDs" thing, and I'm sitting there going, yeah, I don't know. Will it go CD? Oh, it can't drop CDs, can it? And James is going, of course it will. It'll be cartridges. And I was like, no, not cartridges. I just think, fucking hell, Dave, what are you talking about? It was the word
cartridge and not... Well, I don't know what. When you say cartridge, in my head I'm thinking N64 cartridry.
Yeah, but he did say cards as well.
I mean, Matt, there was no way it was going to have discs. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
It's so obvious now.
Well, it is now because we know that it's a portable and a home console. At the time, we didn't know what the fuck was going on. In fact, we were all hoping that it would be a powerful console, like it would challenge the PS4 and the Xbox.
We didn't know what it was going to be, but then we also everyone basically assumed or hoped it would be a home and portable hybrid. So
no, I wouldn't say that. I think there was rumours doing the rounds. But I don't think we assumed that was the case at all. We didn't really know at that time when we were talking about this.
We assumed. I hoped it was, but but we weren't for sure that all that was going to happen.
Okay, fine.
There's a Splatfest this week. We'll cover it in news.
No, I've removed it from news because it's boring.
Okay.
You can do it here.
Well, okay. Well, let's talk about it now quickly then, because is this the worst Splatfest of all time?
Definitely.
Yep.
If you've not seen the news, Nintendo thought a good Splatfest to split the world and have a battle over would be: do you have the toilet roll facing the front, where the bit of paper is over the top and at the front, or do you have it the other way around where it's facing the back? It is easily the worst argument ever, and that's not me going, oh, this is easy, I choose invisible. It's not that. It's because Sean, bless him, in our little WhatsApp group, which is now the dad support group, was going, well, you'll be surprised, David, this does cause a lot of arguments on the internet. No. What causes a lot of arguments is people that really give a shit that it's facing the front and people that don't care. There's no one sitting there going, no, it has to be facing backwards. No one ever does that. It's utter bollocks.
See, that's what I'm interested though, because if somebody is arguing that though, what's their logic?
That's what I was thinking. Oh, I like it when it scrapes along the wall.
Yeah.
Before it goes on my anus. I don't get what the argument would be. There's no possible advantage of having it that way round.
I like having to reach around the roll and to grab it rather than it just be in front of me. It's just a bit.
I've heard you always you've always favoured a reach around. John, what are your stance on this?
I mean, I couldn't even give 1/1,000,000th of a shit. Like whatever. No. I mean, it's probably both ways. Every single time I hook another one up in the toilet. And then, like I said on Twitter, I'll just go in and then Cody would have just pulled it all off and shoved it in the toilet anyway, or smashed the holder to bits. Or, I mean, who cares?
When you say both ways, do you split it and hang it both sides?
Horrific.
No, I don't know what that means. I mean, one day it'll be front, one day it'll be back, and I go, oh, I wish I put it front. But I'm not going to change it. I mean, I get the thing, I put the thing through and I hook it up, and however it lands, it lands.
He puts a free thing. He puts it on and he hooks it up, Dave. Come on.
We've got one of those ones where, it's always great when you're in, someone's toilet and the toilet pump. That's not great when the toilet runs out.
Here we go.
But when they've just got one of those...
When the toilet runs out. Excuse me, the toilet's run out. Can you have a new one?
Can you refill the toilet, please?
It's run out.
No, when it's got just the hook and you just pop it on. Perfect. We've got one of those ones where you've got to squeeze it together and pull it out. I'll be honest with you, it takes 2 seconds, it's no problem, but every time it feels like the biggest effort to ever do that. You just whack it on top, say fuck it, someone will sort it out at some point.
I would rather that was a Splatfest. Is it one of those hooks or is it one of the ones where you squeeze it?
No, if you're doing toilet paper stuff, it should be, do you wipe standing up or sitting down? That is the biggest split. That will get a lot of people saying one or the other.
Standing up? Okay, well, let's
Trust
not get
me,
into
Matt. You'll be surprised the amount of people that do it standing up.
Okay, well, one more question about this. I mean, this is the second or third Splatfest, or I guess fourth if you include the one before the game came out. It feels like they're really scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Well, they have had a whole couple of years before this doing Splatfest on the first one, but even then, there's got to be something better than this. This is weak. Well, this is weak.
We've already talked about this for too long. Can we move on because it's rubbish?
James, right? Okay, what we're going to do? You're promoted now, mate. You're head of Splatfest. What's the next one? Come on,
I
just
can't
quick.
Do that.
I need an idea.
I need an idea.
First thing that comes into your head. Mate. Come on, go.
Oh, I don't know.
We're not continuing until you do it.
No, I can't do this. You can't put me under pressure like this. It's horrible.
Yes, I can. James,
go.
Can't.
Come on, James.
James, go.
Cars versus motorbikes.
He panicked. Oh, good one. That's better
it's
than
not
this
even
one.
what he said, it was the way he said it.
Cars versus motorbikes. Anyways, because Splatfest was so crap, Dave decided to be funny and do one on our Twitter.
Oh, yeah, shit. Oh, my God, I totally forgot we did this. We did our own Splatfest, and I don't even know what the results are. This is going to be interesting. So instead of toilet roll facing forward or backwards, we did Matt or James.
Yeah.
Farley or Murray.
It's a bit unfair.
Why?
Because one of us is one of the world's greatest Twitch streamers, and the other one's me. But we'll look at the results. 165 votes were cast. Farley won with 59% of the vote.
59, Matt. Come on. I expected you to do better there.
No chance.
Why are you saying that?
Because I'm just the guy who does the social bit at the end that everyone hates.
You do all the Twitch stuff, don't you?
I know. Well, it's not. Yeah, anyway. So yeah, that was close. It's a close one. Hopefully the next one.
Congratulations, James.
I didn't know about this, and then I looked at it like on the through the web, and then I saw the result, and then I showed it to my wife, and she was not impressed. She just said that's pathetic. And that
James, did you expect to win that? Like
No,
putting you up here?
I didn't know. I don't know what that was about. It was just
There was
odd.
a lot of people as well that weren't voting. A lot
don't
of
blame
people
them.
saying I can't choose.
I wouldn't have done. It's weird.
I voted, but I'm never going to tell you who I voted for.
Speaking
Right,
of Twitch streaming and whatnot, I mean, blatantly, a lot of James's votes were because of his previous streams. James, you've announced that you're going to do the Beyond Two Souls stream in the coming days, right?
Yeah, this week I'm gonna go
Now,
back to
before
David
the
Cage's
recording,
world.
you said, "Yes, Matt, I'm going to do it on Tuesday." Now, this podcast comes out on Wednesday, and frankly, that doesn't work. That doesn't work for me. So, could you
And then
do?
we all kicked off and said, no, you've at least got to get the podcast out and announce it first before you start Twitch streaming. He said, I just don't want the pressure.
It's true. I don't look. I was gonna just stealth start it. In fact, I nearly stealth started it on Sunday because I just
Still
thought
started. He's come up with this new phrase and it's unbelievable.
I'm very much a stealth starter. It's a stealth startup, the James
stealth
Farley
startup
Corporation.
business.
And no, James, you can't do that now. You're the biggest export we have. You can't stealth start. You can't stealth start. You can't elf start. You can't do whatever you want. So
Come
yeah,
on, James,
Wednesday or
when are you doing it?
Thursday, you have to.
See, well, I've got to do it on Wednesday now, haven't I? Which is really annoying because I had
Why?
plans for Wednesday.
Well,
Why don't you do it Thursday?
Well, no, because it's Thursdays. No, I don't want to do it on Thursday.
Okay,
but
why don't you do it
Wednesday's
on the
fine.
weekend?
What?
Wednesday's fine. I'll just do it on Wednesday. It's
No,
fine.
but what's the
James, this is weird
plans?
behaviour.
I don't want to do
This
it on
is
the weekend.
strange behaviour. It's just bizarre behaviour.
Okay, Wednesday. So when you're listening to this, if you listen to this on the day this podcast comes out, James is recording tonight, doing
Probably.
his Twitch stream at twitch.tv/The Computer Game Show, starting his Beyond Two Souls stream.
And if you're listening to this, put a tweet out there. We let everyone know because not everyone listens to it the day it comes out. So just say, look, James Farley's doing it. I can't believe it. All that sort of stuff.
It doesn't matter,
Make a
does it?
hashtag up.
It doesn't matter.
Put hashtag stealth start.
Yeah, hashtag stealth start. Any idea on time, James? I've got
No idea.
I've got
I
a
don't know,
Twitch
it'd just
event
be-
to create.
Sometime in the evening, sometime. I don't know when. I don't know, Matt.
How am I going to
'Cause
schedule it on Twitch? How am I going to pay for the Facebook ad if I don't have a time?
This is a load of nonsense.
Could you
because
imagine that if like some new BBC drama come on and the advert come out and said, well, I want to do it Tuesday, but I'll do it Wednesday because I really don't want to do it Thursday, and it'll be on sometime in the evening.
Yeah,
I don't
because
know.
I know it's new to Doctor Who, but we're going to stealth start it.
See, I just can't. I'm concerned because I just can't believe that this game is going to be as interesting as Heavy Rain. That's my problem with it. Is I'm just concerned.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah,
I don't know if
but
it'll be as funny, but it's pretty bad.
I mean,
I
I think
think
it
we'll
will be
still
as
have
funny.
comments.
I'm hoping there's going to be like because I'm hoping it's going to be like in David Cage's mind again, and so that will make it funny because he doesn't know how.
What?
Because David Cage doesn't understand how humans interact with each other, and so I'm really hoping that's where the comedy's going to come from this. But I don't know. We'll
John,
see.
you didn't mind Beyond, did you?
I quite liked it. It had its moments, had some good moments. I enjoyed it, but there's definitely plenty to laugh at, including one
yeah.
particular scene, which is a
What, the
nightmare.
whole desert area?
Yeah.
Oh
But,
my god, I cannot wait for James to do the desert bit. It's all about the desert bit in that game, James.
I know. See, I bought Fahrenheit as well, but I'll maybe that'll be
Mate,
later.
that
people
game
were
is a
asking about
fucking
that as
horror
well.
show.
Yeah, but you've already played that. Listen, I will, of course, be doing the highlight reel on our YouTube channel, so please subscribe to us on YouTube. And as and when James does his streams, I'll do the little highlight reel. That always goes down well. Right, okay, anything else in the feedback?
That's it. I mean, Capone tweeted saying, is Computer Game Pod about to break the gaming podcast rule, or thou shall not discuss the same game for more than 2 weeks in a row? Capone, I'm not sure if you heard last year's. Well, it wasn't 2016. It was the year of Titanfall 2. I mean, there must be 7 or 8 episodes in a row.
We had Titanfall 2, but wasn't there one towards the start of this year where you banged on about it non-stop?
No,
I can't remember. You've definitely
Very
mentioned
unlikely.
No Man's Sky too much. I know that much. Right, okay, fine. Hilarious joke.
That is it for the follow. If you want to tweet, it says @ComputerGamePod on Twitter or thecomputergameshow@gmail.com.
Time for news, Sean.
Sure, no.
Fuck it. This was quite a discussion we had in the week about who was going to take over the news. A lot of people would turn around. I think we would talk about it on the Discord, or we would talk about it on the Twitch stream or something. And they were going, well, what does David do? I edit. Fair enough, I'm not editing this week, but I edit. That takes up more time than any of this shit. But I was actually going to start putting together the news this week until James, out of nowhere, in the new TCGS group, said, hey, I'll do it. I want to do it this week. So, James, I
just thought I'd have another crack at it, because we did
last
it
time.
I mean, I used to do it when we first started.
Haven't listened, for those of you that haven't listened from the start, James would just chuck in rumours and report that as news, and then ask us that was where the phrase "what could that mean" come from, because James was talking about stock prices. It had no sense to anything. Didn't look into anything other than the headline. That was it with James.
Yeah,
so
let's
just
see like headline.
if he's improved.
What can that mean? You guys discuss it now.
Yeah, what's wrong with that? It's perfect.
Get angry at us when we weren't really convinced that he'd properly told us the news. James, okay, this is your time to redeem yourself.
I've got some financials in here, actually.
Let's put them in pop them in the bin.
Get the jingle
Get
out.
the news.
So the first thing we got is new PlayStation VR hardware that's coming out in Japan, apparently.
Talking of stealth launch, I only just saw this today. Was it on Eurogamer?
It was, yeah.
Well, everywhere, but yeah.
Right, there was a picture of it, and I just thought, what? How have I not heard of this? How has Matt not messaged me about it 8 times, about how many he's pre-ordered? Like, what's going on?
Well, it only really came out today, didn't it? Like the news of this stuff.
It came out?
No, the news of it came out today.
Oh, right, the news. Okay, right.
It
Okay, they
came
announced
out!
it today. So I just thought maybe it was in the shots already, and I just completely
Yeah, it's
missed
been
it.
out 6 weeks, mate.
So what is it then, Matt? You're the VR guy.
Well, I thought James was news guy. Yeah, so...
Good point, James.
It's just a redesigned helmet, isn't it?
Right, thanks, Matt.
Anyway, well, yeah, so it's weird, really. It's not really a redesigned helmet, a headset. What they've done is they have fixed the big... You all right, James?
Shit. We broke James.
James, you okay, mate?
He's on the floor.
Has he passed out again?
I think he's passed
Sorry,
out. James,
yeah, sorry. Go on. Oh.
What was that noise?
James, stop muting yourself.
I had to.
Okay, Matt, go.
One of the biggest issues with the current PlayStation VR headset is that they announced they released this, and then they released the PlayStation 4 Pro, which does HDR. If this is plugged in, it can't do HDR. With this new model, they've done it so you can have a whole thing plugged in, and you can still have HDR in your games, which is frankly ridiculously bizarre thing that happened to the first one, but it is what it is. So there's a new processor unit, and that supports HDR pass-through. They've also changed it, so instead of like 14 cables within a headset and the processor box, there's now one slim cable, which is really good, because previously there's so many cables and they're quite heavy. I had to basically tuck them into my like trousers or my pocket, because otherwise the headset would fall out. Oh no, not a headset, they're actually headphones. Speaking of which, the headphones are now, as opposed to being attached to the cable that comes down from the headset, they're actually attached to the headset itself. So again, a lot less cables.
That looked good. That was the first thing I noticed. The fact that the headphones themselves are actually built into the headset, aren't they?
Yeah,
they're not just dangling down.
So rather than just like a standard pair of like in-ear headphones which attach to cable, these aren't built in so much, but they're basically attached to the headset rather than the cable, and they look a lot better. But yeah, this thing comes out on the 14th of October in Japan. They say it's going to be around the same sort of suggested retail price. There was going to be a bundle with the camera.
What does that mean? I know I'm being James Farley here, but what do they mean by it's going to be around the same sort of retail price?
No, but I'm saying that because basically it's around the same sort of yen, but they haven't announced like UK price, so I don't know what it's going to be.
Right.
But
same yen though, right?
It's the same yen, yeah.
Similar yen.
It's the same yen.
Gotcha.
I guess one of the biggest issues. Well, I mean, personally, I think so. It doesn't really bother me, mostly because when I don't have my PSVR plugged in all the time, so the HDR thing doesn't really it doesn't really bother me. If I played PSVR all the time and also played all my other PS4 Pro games, yes, that would definitely annoy. I guess one of the issues is that there's a new processor unit, but you can't just buy the processor unit separately. And so if they sell that, I'll buy a new processor unit, so I'm allowed HDR pass through. At least that's one thing I can fix. I can't fix obviously the big cables and stuff, but you can't just buy the separate. You can't buy the components separately. You have to basically buy the whole new headset. So if you're buying one now, or in not too distant future, these are great little quality of life changes. I don't think it's enough to really kick off about if you're an existing owner. I mean, yes, this comes out a year and a day after the first one, and I didn't really expect a revision. Certainly not annually, but not for not for 2 years, really. In all honesty, 2 or 3 years. So it's a bit of a surprise. This is, I guess, what I would call a stealth start release. But I mean, it's good that they're doing something and they are making changes to it. Like, it shows that there is some commitment to the actual headset. If they were just leaving it and not doing anything, I'd be more concerned. But this shows that maybe they've received enough feedback, or they just want to move forward with a much better design. But people aren't saying, "Well, I can't even do HDR on this thing." So it's good that they've clearly done something to put out a better headset. Doesn't bother me.
And sorry, just to make it clear, when you're saying about it not being able to do HDR, you don't actually mean in the VR games, do you?
No. So basically, how PSVR works, if you haven't got one, there is a processor unit which basically attaches to your PlayStation. So you've got PS4 to HDMI, and that's the processor unit, and that goes to the headset. You can play your regular PS4 games with the headset attached. You'll just play them on TV as you would. But if all that mess of cables is attached to your PlayStation, then you can't do HDR in your games. You've got to attach everything and plug your TV to your PlayStation as normal to get HDR. And there's so many cables that it can be a nightmare if you really want to do that, and if you want to have your PSVR attached all the time. I personally don't, but it is a ball ache. So this means you can have your PSVR attached, connected all the time, so you don't have to keep detaching and attaching cables every time you want to play it, but you can still enjoy HDR in your games.
So the people that are going to benefit from this, to be clear, are the people that are going to buy another £350 headset, have a 4K HDR TV, and a PS4 Pro.
Well, HDR is actually... It works on all PS4s now, not just the Pro. But yeah, certainly the first two.
Yeah, but you're still going to need a fucking £700 TV or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you can get HDR now from like 600 TVs, but whatever. Regardless,
400,
I mean, 400, even better. Yeah, you've got it, of course. I guess. I mean, I like buying things on day one, and I always like to have the best thing available. But this doesn't bother me. I'm not going to spend 350 quid on just the ability to have HDR. So
you say that now, Matt, but come next week,
I've pre-ordered one actually.
Yeah.
I was about to say the guy's about to drop £1,000 on a fucking phone. So I'm not, I don't think £350 for a slightly better VR headset is beyond the realm of possibility.
It doesn't interest me. It also doesn't bother me, but I am also laid back as fuck. I'm sure if you ask someone else who might have bought one in the last few weeks, they'll be pretty annoyed, I guess. What do you think, John? You've obviously got yours as well.
Hold on. Did you just say you're laid back as fuck?
What? I'm aren't I? Why not?
I mean, okay. What do I think about it?
I thought I was pretty laid back, but anyway.
I don't know.
In some aspects.
You wanted 2 hours to set up our Twitch stream before we went live last week.
Well, okay, yeah, but I'm also a bit of a perfectionist. So I do want to make, regardless, whatever. John, what do you think?
All those laid back perfectionists.
Laid back perfectionists.
What do I think? Yeah, I'm the same as you, mate. I was like, oh, well, it would be good if my one was like that. And then I thought, well, I haven't actually turned my one on in about 4 months. So what can I do? It just makes me feel sick. I wish it didn't. I loved Thingy. What's that? Super Hot. I love that.
Super Hot's incredible.
Yeah, that definitely kind of reminded me how amazing the VR can be. And actually, I do love the tech. It's just I've not turned it on, and it's kind of embarrassing to say. It just sort of sits hanging there, looking a bit forlorn. But yeah, about this new launch, it's just fair enough. Kind of wish mine had that HDR pass-through because I'd be more inclined to keep it plugged in. But at the same time, oh mate, I just literally because where I'm sat now, I can just look at those cables, and it's a fucking nightmare.
I mean, you said you were going to sell it, no?
Yeah, I thought about selling it, and then I just I don't know. I don't have the box, and none of this is interesting. But I'll probably keep hold of it because there will be something that comes out like a Super Hot. There's something that I want to check out. I think.
The previews of the VR mode for Gran Turismo Sport have been pretty positive, actually.
Every racing game's made me want to yak though, so I just
True that.
It's a shame.
You think get used to it. I mean, like I said, on the live PSVR one, I wanted to vomit within the first lap and a half, but now I can play Drive Club with no issues whatsoever. Yeah, I mean, there's also Skyrim VR if you can be bothered.
Skyrim Switch, boy.
Yeah, you know.
That's a good point.
This, they've also announced new Move controllers. Now, again, people have been wanting new Move controllers forever. You know, they're like, oh, it's so annoying. Basically, if he's had maybe a touchpad like Vive controllers or an analog stick, how good would these be? They've announced redesigned Move controllers. They're the same, except they've now got micro USB instead of mini USB.
Oh, so at least you can charge them using the same cable.
Yeah, so you can charge them using the same cable. They also say that they will only work on PS4, so they're removing PS3 support, whatever that really means, who knows. But yeah, new Move controllers, no doubt really expensive because they can. But yeah, those also come out in October.
I would challenge the fact that loads of people have wanted this forever.
Loads of people on the PSVR Reddit community.
Matt's mates. Okay, fine. That was the first news story. Second news story, please.
Well, you see, the second one I didn't choose. It just appeared here. So I don't know. I don't know anything about this really. So
how have you not heard about the Atari box?
Because, well, I've heard about it, but I just don't care. I mean, it's
So this is the Kickstarter mini thing, isn't it? I thought this was bought out a while ago.
No. Yeah. So a while ago, I might as well do it because James isn't going to. A while ago, Atari said they're going to do a new console, and then they said, to protect us, or I can't remember what the words are, but basically they're going to do it through crowdfunding. They've announced in the last week, or actually it's on the 30th of September, that it's going to be called the Atari Box. It's going to have some custom AMD processor, but more importantly, it's going to be a minimum of $250. So it's going to be minimum $250 for a Atari console. Where I mean, amazing! I can't wait to see what this thing actually does. Apparently, the AMD chip isn't bad.
Matt?
I flicked through bits. What bits take your fancy?
Well, because they were kind of critical of it, because it's like, what's it for? Because apparently it's going to play like Steam stuff, I think, was one of the things, but not like at a very sort of like high resolution or anything. And the whole point that they kept making was like, why would you buy one of these instead of like a PlayStation or an Xbox, which has a lot more like going for it? If you sort of mean.
Because this also runs on Linux, so I guess getting Steam stuff on would be pretty easy. But the fact is like a $250 plus Atari machine is fascinating. So I mean, I don't know what this is going to do, but I'm interested to see what happens when they announce it.
We're going to see a lot more of this. Nintendo have set precedent here. Just whack shit out and people buy it.
No, but this is totally different.
Yeah, this is totally different to like, this isn't a mini retro console. This is Atari having a new console out there.
Is it?
But who are Atari now? Like, what are they? Because it's not obviously no.
So it's a spiritual question from James.
No, because they're nothing to do with what they used to be. And the last thing I remember of them being was they were Infogrames, weren't they? They bought like the license and became Atari. Like they renamed themselves Atari, and that all went badly. And then, so who are they now? Like, what is it?
I mean, no one's got the answer to it, so it's a question that doesn't need to be asked on this podcast. Next story.
The Wii Shop channel is getting shut down in January 2019.
No.
Oh no! Next story.
No. This is legit shame. This is because
this is legit.
This means shame.
No, legit shame, bro.
He's got a whole new vocab this week, isn't he?
I'm getting ready for the Twitch streaming. Yeah, I'm getting ready for the streaming. But no, it is a shame because there's like a whole bunch of games that are just going to totally disappear now because of this. And that is a shame, like for game preservation.
Didn't they say
and everything.
Aren't they protected? Like your purchases are still protected or something?
Yeah, but you wouldn't be able to re-download them again because they're going to be shutting the whole thing down. But it's just
what do you want them to do?
Well, no, because I don't know what was going to do. I'm just saying, look, David, I can still just say it's a shame that it's being shut down. I understand why they're doing it, but it's still a shame because it means that there was loads of stuff that came out on the Virtual Console on the Wii that we're probably never going to see like again on that kind of thing, because there was like Commodore 64 stuff.
Yeah.
There was like Mega Drive, Master System, all
Bonk's
that kind of thing.
Adventure, Bonk's Revenge, Bonk 3, Bog's Big Adventure. I mean, what am I going to do?
I'll be honest with you. I could not give less of a shit. I wasn't a fan of the Wii. I could only imagine that Wii store was a complete fucking nightmare. So yeah, I mean, the only one that sticks out wasn't that Steven Spielberg game quite big on it on the Wii Shop thing.
I mean, Boom Blocks.
Boom Blocks.
That's the one. I played that and I thought,
Jeff,
shit.
that's going.
No, but what's it called? The Wii's like virtual console was good. It was one of the good things about the system. It was way better than the Wii U's one. Yeah, they had there was so much content on there, and it's just a shame that it's
name your favourite bit of content from there.
Can I name mine?
Yeah, go for it.
Princess Tomato in the Salad Kingdom. That's one of the ones that's going.
Come on, James.
No, I enjoyed being able to like play like Master System games again, because it reminded me of being a kid again. What's wrong with that?
Well, you could buy... I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, Mr. Defensive. Listen, you buy one of those mini Master System things that they got everywhere. Buy one of them. You'd be sorted. You'd be laughing, mate.
James, how upset are you that SCAT, the Special Cybernetic Attack Team, is leaving the Wii Shop channel?
I'm sure there's some gems on there, seriously, that people don't know about. It's like Xbox Live indie games.
James, you got nothing, have you?
No.
Oh, no. James has got a point. I've just seen the game here. Super Air Zonk Rockabilly Paradise. So, he's got a point.
Next story.
FIFA physical sales are down this year.
What could that mean?
But no, okay, there is an interesting part to this story, because the Switch apparently has only had 3% of the sales.
That's my favourite. Switch is only 3%.
Yeah. Is
that surprising or no?
I don't think it is, because the thing is, I mean, the PS4's got such a massive, sort of install base now.
And it's got an online system.
Yeah, well, no, the Switch one, I'll talk about this later, but the Switch one's got that as well, to a degree. But
yeah, well, I'm still interested. Will you still be able to play FIFA 2018 online on the Switch this time next year without having to pay a subscription?
No idea.
Exactly. It's fucking weird that we don't know that. We're buying games and we don't know if they're going to be blocked
I'll
off.
happily pay a subscription if there's a system worth paying for.
No,
what are you talking
you don't
about,
care
Matt?
about that.
Brilliant.
What I'm saying is
They
that...
fixed it.
Okay. There's enough of this. But what I'm saying is that you're buying a game that you can play online, but it might just suddenly in the future go, okay, now you've got to play if you want to play it online. Like it just... I'm not... It don't feel right. It feels weird that we still don't know what's going on with the online stuff for this console.
Yeah, I basically
just
just assumed there isn't going to be an online thing for this console.
As I said, I've said before, I think it's going that way, and I think that's the only way that it's going to happen, where people aren't going to get angry, and that they say, look, you can play online for free now. We're not going to charge you for online, but we are going to introduce this service where if you want to subscribe to Nintendo games, here you go.
See,
which I think people will jump for.
I think that you're crediting Nintendo with being far more self-aware than they are.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
And I think that they're just going to go ahead with whatever they were originally going to do, and they think that everything's fine.
John, am I being odd weirding out about this?
Yeah, no, I mean, I understand your point, mate, but I just kind of always knew that was coming. So, yeah, it would be weird one day when they say, oh, you've got to pay now, but I'd be like, oh, yeah, that would be my reaction. I can't pretend to be up in arms about it any more than that. I'd just be, oh, yeah, I've got to pay now. They said that all along. So, it's like, and the same with the Wii Shop. In principle, it's a real shame, and a lot of people are saying this is why physical is better than digital, etc., 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 because obviously it doesn't go anywhere, and you don't necessarily own these games. But at the same time, if I was to think about if I actually care, I don't, and that's just I don't know. I think about the sort of our finite lifespan and everything just crumbling to dust. So why would I care about Zonk's Revenge on Wii Shop? But yeah, long story short, it is a bit weird, but if it's only 20 quid a year, I mean, and you get some Nintendo games and shit, the thing is, I'll be like, oh, that's annoying, I'll pay it and I'll just forget for another year. And then it'll come up again. That's what happens on the other ones.
It reminds me, I'm due to go on the Retro Asylum podcast soon. Mm-hmm. And
I'm sorry, what?
I mean, the Retro Asylum podcast.
Why?
because I was invited to go on there. But this is it though, Matt. I don't know what I'm going to say. They sent the subjects over that we're going to talk about, and one of the subjects is, why is it that some people don't go back and play old games? And I'm like, well, I've got plenty to say on that because I fucking don't. I don't go anywhere near them.
I know you hate
if it's got
games.
2017, it's shit, mate. You know what I mean? Standard. Yeah. So when stuff like that gets turned off, I'm not really that bothered. Sometimes I'll put on an old game and play it for 2 minutes and go, oh yeah, that was an old game that I played, wasn't it? And then turn it off again and not play again. It's yeah, I don't really care. How did we get there?
Speaking of old games, have you seen what they're doing with FIFA? They're releasing this version called the Legacy Edition. Have you seen this?
They always do that.
Oh, did they? I thought it was a new thing. I've never seen it before.
No. The Legacy, is this for which console is this for?
It's for basically it's a Legacy Edition of FIFA 18 is for PS3 and 360.
Yeah.
And basically there's no new gameplay.
Right,
It's
they
just
don't
literally
change
last year's
anything.
Kits.
They've done that for years.
Because when I was in Tesco,
I mean, it was still
that.
coming out on the PS2 for.
Yeah.
It weren't that long ago they stopped doing it for the PS2.
I saw that in Tesco and I was like, is that like, what is it, some like weird retro cover? Like, I didn't quite get what it meant because it's 45 quid. And I was like, that can't be right. Anyway, Legacy Edition.
Yeah, it's literally just like a stat update and that's it. And they change the kits and I think that's about all they do.
It's literally doing what all those, snarky people say that they do every year with the main game. All they do is change the kit. Shut up. Right, okay, cool. Is that it? Are we done with news? Or
No, the Red Dead trailer came out.
Did anyone see this?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's all right.
John, be honest with you, you pissed me off a little bit when we were chatting about it.
Did I? How so?
Yeah, I said, oh my God, that looks amazing. Yeah, that's great. And then you went, no, it's just the usual Rockstar thing where they just say things.
Oh, I didn't mean to sound so downbeat. Apologies.
You weren't. I went legitimately pissed off, but I was kind of like,
don't get me wrong.
Out my window a little bit.
That trailer just reminded me. Right, I'm gonna rewind because I don't want to do the thing where I just say the negative stuff first without saying the positive stuff. It looks fucking amazing. The game's going to be amazing. I'm unbelievably pumped for it. Rockstar have created some of the most incredible worlds of all time. Red Dead Redemption is one of my favourite games of all time. This is going to be amazing. So, with that said, that particular trailer, just the kind of cadence of it and the pacing of it, just reminded me of so many of the trailers that they've done over the last few years.
Yeah.
And it just kind of washed over me. And it's nothing to do with the game, and it's nothing to do with how it looks, or it's basically nothing to do with anything. It was just like a bit of action cut to a one line, a bit of action, and it was literally just a comment on that style of trailer. Maybe it's time for Rockstar to change the style of trailer, just because it washed over me a bit.
No, they haven't. They changed it a little while ago. They do these ones, and then they do the ones with the narrator saying, "What we are doing this time in this game."
But you're saying that they do these ones. Maybe these ones should just change the style a little bit. That's what I'm saying, because it washed over me a little bit in a way that a Red Dead trailer shouldn't. That's all I'm thinking.
Man.
Yeah,
I had such a different reaction to it. I was loving it. Really?
No. Yeah, I mean,
I was loving
the
it.
game's incredible, etc. But this is like,
yeah,
it's like it's a close-up shot. It's some dialogue. It's an action shot. It's I know that sounds like every trailer, but it's very much the music and the way the dialogue's delivered and shot. It just seems like I've seen this a million times before. I mean, the game's gonna be incredible, no doubt. But new trailer would be nice.
I loved it. I really loved it. I just thought it was great. It just I don't care about that stuff.
You not feel like that.
What?
I don't want to make you not feel like that. That's awesome.
Well, you have.
Well,
I'm absolutely gutted now. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying that fucking game now. You've ruined it for me.
Weak Dave.
I know. Tell me about it.
We did.
Unbelievable. I am. I'm well pumped. I thought graphically it looked absolutely stunning.
Oh yeah, man, it's jokes. It's absolute jokes.
It's just. I love Red Dead,
Me too.
And I can't wait to.
And I'm glad there's a bit of time as well. There's a bit, it's coming out. There's a nice breather because we're in a crazy period. We've got another crazy period coming up towards the back end of this month, and then the November new console, that sort of stuff. Not that there's any games for it, but you know what I mean. And then there's a little breather. You need a little breather for something like that. I can't launch into a game with that vast size after everything else that's coming out this year. I need a couple of weeks. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, and there's always that comment you see from devs saying, "Look, there's a reason why everyone wants to get their game out around Christmas time. It makes a huge difference to sales." I think the exception to that is it's going to be in the charts for ages. It's going to sell a ridiculous amount of money. So the only problem I may have is that I'll be interested to see how close it is to the Far Cry launch, because they're not similar games, but they are both.
When's that supposed to come out? I thought that was a bit sooner.
Far Cry's early next year, right?
Yeah, but Red Dead's like May,
Red Dead's 2018.
I don't think they've said May. I think they've said early 2018. But then loads of other GTAs have also been out in May. So May is a safe bet. I mean, Far Cry's going to be a spec on Red Dead's radar, is it?
What are you talking about?
Well, I mean, are you saying like you don't want to have both games because they're both similar, or you're worried about sales of one or the other?
No. I'm just worried about having two big games that I'm really excited for coming out at very similar time, because I'm going to be like, one of them's going to have to slip by, and it probably would be Far Cry if it was out of those two. But yeah, I mean, Far Cry's huge. Like, they sell a ridiculous amount of copies of those.
Far Cry's out in February, so there's plenty of time, assuming that Red Dead does come sort of May, June. As all their previous games have recently.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
A
3-month gap is good. Is good. We're all good. Okay, calm down.
Yeah, it's all fine.
Calm down. Last story.
You got Fortnite versus Bluehole on here.
Right.
I didn't write it, so
I know, I wrote it, but it's just the way you delivered it. I love it. So this is interesting, isn't it, John? What's have got? I mean, you're probably best to talk about because you introduced me to Fortnite this week. What's the story here then?
Okay, so we won't go into the specifics of the game, so I'm assuming we're going to talk about that in the meat of the podcast in a minute.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, as many of you know, Fortnite, the game from Epic that got announced 1 billion years ago, I think by Cliffy B when he was still there, which is a sort of survival horde game where you can sort of quickly craft stuff. It came out to little fanfare this year, finally, in a weird sort of paid early access, and kind of, I mean, I don't know how well it did, but it seemed like it was a sort of minor flop, maybe sort of picked up a bit of a community. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, in the last sort of 10 days, they released a brand new update to it, a completely standalone package, a PvP Battle Royale mode, and to say it's like PUBG would be the understatement of the year. It is literally the same thing. I mean, there are differences, and we'll talk about them when we actually talk about the game, but it's flagrant. You go across a map at the beginning in a bus instead of a plane, in a straight line, you drop down, you find weapons in houses. It is literally exactly the same game. Now, of course, this genre wasn't invented by PUBG, blah, blah, blah. There's all, we know that sort of stuff. But this has come out, and the vice president of Bluehole, who make PUBG, they're the studio in Korea, has said, they're kind of perturbed. I'm paraphrasing, of course, but they're kind of perturbed by what they've seen and sort of feel slightly betrayed by Epic.
Well, this is the quote. It said, "We've had an ongoing relationship with Epic Games throughout PUBG's development, as they are the creators of Unreal Engine 4, the engine we license for the game. After listening to the growing feedback from our community and reviewing the gameplay for ourselves, we are concerned that Fortnite may be replicating the experience for which PUBG is known. We have also noticed that Epic Games references PUBG in the promotional material for Fortnite to their community and in communications with the press. This was never discussed with us, and we don't feel that that is right." They also said that they were going to look into, further action against it, which I think, we were chatting about this I think it was last night. I think it just shows a team that hasn't come up against this sort of thing before. Mm-hmm. They haven't been, you can't call it being plagiarised. This is what makes it sticky. It's a game mode. They've not copied and pasted the code from the game. They haven't put assets from the game in this game. They've literally introduced the same game mode into their game. And if you weren't able to do that, you would only see one game with capture the flag. You'd only see one game with a deathmatch.
Yeah, someone mentioned like Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat. Every fighting game has two bars at the top, and a guy fighting each other. But that came from Street Fighter, really. But every fighting, that's just the genre now.
I haven't played any Fortnite, but I've watched a few streams over the last week or so. But even like the little bar that comes up when you're healing yourself, that's also a white circle. So they could have done that differently. They literally, in that case, have just thought, let's just do exactly what PUBG have done.
I don't think you could copyright a white circle.
No, you can't. But
it's flagrant, Matt. Don't get me wrong. It's shameless. It's absolutely shameless. They've just gone, we can make this too. We've got the engine in place. Don't get me wrong. It's kind of, you feel a bit dirty, but at the same time, as we'll talk about later, I mean, fuck it, because it's really good.
But this is the thing. I mean, I got a little bit bummed out when it appeared that Rockstar just ripped it off, and it turns out they hadn't really. But I was a little bit like, oh my god, come on, guys, man, you're fucking
we're going to see
absolutely
loads
loaded.
of
You don't need
PUBG
to do
rip-offs,
that.
aren't we, in the next year or two?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm surprised it's taking this long.
Yeah.
What makes it snide? What makes it like you were saying, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth or whatever? It does, but even more so the fact that they were actually working with the PUBG team.
Now, we don't know to what extent is it just they license it out and they have a bit of support, so Bluehole calls them their partners in that respect because they are technically partners, or is it literally like an ongoing project between them? We don't know exactly what it is, but you're right.
They're making money, aren't they, from every sale of PUBG? Cause
they're making money, yeah.
Yeah.
But also, it's different to say, I don't know, plucking any development studio out there, Konami just deciding to make a PUBG clone. There is evidence, or at least suggested evidence, that the Epic had seen all this shit before. But
and
it is
shared
what it
learnings
is.
between the studios.
I doubt there'll be any.
Well, of course they did. I mean, if who didn't know about PUBG?
Yeah.
Like, and for them to be working on their engine, you'd have to know that they knew about it a lot earlier than we did.
But of course, Bluehole have a leg to stand on anyway, because it's a game mode taken from mods in another game, and I mean, it's all from the kind of dodgy place anyway.
Did you see the video in question where they mentioned PUBG?
I think I saw a quote where it mentioned PUBG.
Yeah, I know they mentioned it by name.
The whole announcement, I was like, oh, okay, they're doing that, and I just completely, basically ignored it, and then I saw the stories were kicking off, and then I just decided to download it on the off chance.
I watched the announcement video, and I mean, it's so cleverly worded. What he says and how he says everything is so cleverly worded that you realise that this is actually a legitimate company that knows what they're doing and knows what they're doing is completely legal. They're not going to get done for it. Because everything he was saying, when he introduced it, he said, we're a big fan of the Battle Royale genre. And then he said games like PUBG, and then mentioned about another 4 games that obviously have the similar mode, but I'd never heard of any of them. It's kind of like, oh, come on, mate, you know what you're doing here. You know what you're doing. It was like a little wink towards the PUBG team going, yeah, it's not just you that do this type of game, so you can't just say we're ripping you off. It felt, maybe it was because I had that in my mind that this whole thing was going on. It's nasty, but then I guess that's business. I think the other thing that's a bit odd is that, not odd but off, is that it's free. So and it's got the console market before PUBG has. So I mean, I went on Twitch the other night and I was looking at the trending videos, and it was all Fortnite, all of it, because people were just downloading this game for free and playing that. Whereas PUBG is going to come out on the Xbox One now. I don't know how well it's going to do.
It's still going to storm.
Yeah, it's going to blow up.
Yeah, they're up to 13 million units. Yeah, I don't think.
Do you think it's going to shift more than Fortnite?
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, it's going to absolutely destroy everything. I think it will,
because, I'll be interested to hear the numbers on Fortnite.
Yeah, so would I.
I mean, I know
1
they
million...
said that there's like 1 million people playing it on that first weekend. I don't mean
that first day.
First day they launched, and it was in the top few trending games on Twitch, like I said, for a day or two. So,
more than that, mate. Let's look now. I bet you're underestimating top 4. I bet you it's top 4 right now. It's crazy, man. It's like, I reckon those numbers that we heard day one are going to be small compared to what they are now, because it's just
I have seen almost all of the top
streamers. Almost all of the top streamers play. It's still under PUBG, obviously, but
yeah. What I've watched a lot of the top streamers do is that they've all said we've all been hammering PUBG for weeks, like 10 hours a day for weeks, and they all like, well, it's the same sort of style of game, but there's new things to learn about it. So they're all sort of doing it as almost like the methadone for their PUBG addiction, and I think that's why they're all happily moving over to it to see how it works.
Yeah, and
but I still think PUBG is good. Absolutely destroy things on Xbox.
Oh yeah, they'll smash it. I've got no doubt about that. I mean, there's room for both. There's absolutely room for both. I mean, I'll play both, because once you get into Fortnite, you do realise there are some wrinkles and some differences anyway. But yeah, Fortnite's currently still in the top 10 comfortably on Twitch, and it was above Counter-Strike yesterday.
Is it above Lawbreakers?
It's well above Lawbreakers. So yeah, Cliffy is crying into his. I was going to say into his cup of tea. I don't know if he drinks tea. Cliffy B drinking tea.
Might drink tea.
Yeah,
Probably
might
drinks tea. James, what do you make of all this? What do you think? Is this a bang out of order? Is this bang out of order though?
I don't know. I mean, because I've not played. Oh, see, I don't want to say it because I hate that fucking acronym.
Yeah,
But-
so do I.
Battlegrounds. Call it Battlegrounds.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I've never played it, but I played Fortnite a little bit the other day. But I still not long enough to really understand why it's good. Do you see what I mean? I really need to play like more of it to sort of get an idea. But I don't really see why this is a massive problem though, because like we said, this has happened like throughout the industry all the time. People like sort of copying, copying games and having like newer versions of stuff. And it's I think in general, I think it's a good thing because
but I tell you why people will get the ump with it, because PUBG still has that sort of indie feel to it. It's still, I know obviously it's it's huge, but people are still a bit like, oh no, it's this guy that made this game, and then all of a sudden a company like Epic have just done it. I think that's why people are taking it a little bit more like personal than maybe they should.
But is Battlegrounds really like a tiny team that's made it? Because I don't know anything about it. It
was originally, wasn't it?
Yeah,
But
so
I'm assuming that they've got a lot
the
more
guy
staff now.
Brendan, I can't remember his surname, but yeah, he originally worked on mods for like DayZ and then Arm and DayZ and whatnot, and then he had this idea, and then this Korean company approached him, I believe, and then now this game's made. Yeah. But it's still very, because it's Player Unknown's Battleground, and it feels like a bit of an indie darling that blew up. Dave's absolutely right. That's why people are up in arms about it. And PUBG is the hotness. Everyone's playing, everyone's loving. And for a big company in inverted commas, Epic, just to come over and say, "Brilliant, we'll do that," and now we're going to get the spoils. That's what people are up in arms about.
PUBG is the hotness. Right, okay, let's just talk about the game then, John. So you sent me a text last week, was it? Sometime, and you just said, you got to download this game, it's great. And I'd never heard of it, I didn't know what it was.
Well, what happened? You hadn't even heard of Fortnite?
No, I hadn't. No, I hadn't. And then when I downloaded it and saw the splash screen at the start, I was like, what is this, some sort of zombie cartoon game? What the fuck is this about? And then I started playing it and I thought, oh my god, this is just like PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. It like down to the parachuting in at the start of this bus thing. It was like, oh my god, right, okay, I understand now. Started playing it, and yeah, I mean, you could see why that game is so loved. Because if this gives it gives you just a little taste of what that game can do, then fuck me, I've loved pretty much every night we've played it, John.
Yeah, same as that. So I think I just saw, just being in my normal day, saw that Fortnite's out now, and I'm just sat in the office. So I was like, oh fuck it, I'll download it, and I knew it was free and standalone. I just texted everybody saying, let's get on this, let's see if it's any good. And then, I tested it out, and I was like, within a couple of minutes of the first game playing solos, I was like, because I played some PUBG. I played a good few hours of PUBG on PC, but I'm not very good at it because I'm useless at mouse and keyboard, and it runs like shit on my PC. But what I loved about PUBG, and what everybody loves about that game, is that kind of sense of stress, of tension, of sort of, the mounting fear that you might see somebody, or, it kind of gnaws at you. It's really, really oppressive is not the right word. It's just incredibly intense and thrilling in a way that I've not really had I can't even really match that to any other game. And Fortnite just has the same thing because it's the same game, but it's well made enough to match it. So where it differs is, yes, you start, there's 100 players, you drop in from a party bus, which has glitchy audio instead of a plane. You choose which part of the large, not as large as PUBG, but large map to land on, you parachute there. And then just like Battlegrounds, you're trying to get into a building to loot it, find guns, armor equivalents, etc., etc., and then stay alive for as long as possible. There's a circle on the map, exactly the same. The circle shrinks over time. You've got to stay inside the circle. If you're outside it, anybody who knows this game knows what's happening here. And Fortnite manages to capture that same essence that PUBG has. Now, it doesn't have the vehicles of PUBG yet, so That might change going forward. They quickly introduced squads mode, and they're introducing duos this week. So they're playing copycat, but they're doing it very quickly because they know they've got something here. They've got something massive here.
This game didn't even have scope weapons, did it? Up until last week.
Yeah, and then suddenly there's a sniper rifle in there. There's nothing with massive amounts of range still, so I still think they like the idea of keeping the combat fairly close. You still can't go prone. They might put that in. It still very much feels like a work in progress, but at the same time, it doesn't feel as sketchy as PUBG, weirdly. It runs pretty solid, and I guess that's because it's on the engine, the Fortnite, it's all Unreal 4, but the Fortnite engine that's sort of established and been in play for a few months now and on live servers, etc., etc. So, it's really rather impressive. And where it differs from PUBG, and the more I say that acronym, the more annoying it sounds to me. But yeah, sorry about that. So where it differs is the crafting. The crafting from the Horde base game, which I've not played, it makes it over, or at least in some part makes it over. So at any point, you can basically smash anything. You start the game with a pickaxe, and you can smash stuff for resources, stone, wood, or whatever. And you can build little walls and stairs, and there'll be bits where you'll loot a house, and you can hear a chest upstairs. The chests have like a sort of audio cue. And so you can build a set of stairs up to it, and that's how you gradually learn about the crafting. But what I was doing is a couple of times I finished in the top 20 in solos, and then I just watched the rest of the players finish out the match. And you suddenly see there's people building giant staircases up into the sky or making themselves little forts very, very quickly. And once you get the hang of the crafting, you can really rattle out something in front of you in a matter of seconds. And it's a real game changer, really, because even though you can just play it straight, there are this kind of wildcard element to it that does actually differ it on the battlefield to the big dog.
It also adds those moments of knowing that someone's been there as well.
Yeah,
you know, because in PlayerUnknown's Battleground and everything else it's usually the door's open. Yeah. Someone's been here. Well, this one is like, holy shit! Okay, they've built a staircase up to the loft, like. There could be someone up there.
They could be in that loft.
There might not be.
We at one point last night were in that loft.
Horrific.
And yeah.
Yeah, we were. So like we played last night and we got our first win, followed by our second win in a squad mode. We only had a squad of 3, but it supports up to 4. So, that felt great.
It really did.
I mean, in both of those, I didn't kill a single person, but it didn't matter. It felt like I was part of a team, and we were all working together. Communication was strong, and it was absolutely fantastic to break down to the end. And the tension the circle was right at the end, and we realised that the other guy was the other side of the circle, and you could just see this silhouette on this hill, and you just think, he's there, split up.
It was weird because both times when we got to the end, it was like 4 people left, and we were 3 of them. So I kind of got that confidence. It's like, unless we colossally fuck up here, we're probably going to win because there's only one of them. But when it was like 12 left and you don't know where they are and the circle's that bigger, oh man, I was stressed. Yeah. So we got into a squad just briefly with my younger brother, who doesn't really play that many games anymore. So he has a PS4, obviously. He used to play games loads when he was a kid, so he's like 8 years younger than me. And somehow he won 6 games yesterday. He just got the game the day before and he won 6 games, 4 solos and 2 with us. He's some sort of savant when it comes to this game. He'd never played PlayerUnknown's, anything like that. I hate him for this fact, but joining up with him in the team, he just kind of guided us and stopped us being idiots, basically, Dave. And so,
oh God, some of the advice he was coming out with was like, oh my God, I'm 32 years of age. I should know like the logic of everything that he's saying, but I can't think of it myself.
It was just sound
strategy. Like one of them was like, okay, head to the coast and stick by the coast because that cuts down half of the map that people can get to you from. And I was like, well, of course it does. What the fuck were we doing? Just running through the centre of the map? Really? Like, it's just so stupid. And all that sort of stuff. It was brilliant. And the squad stuff is excellent because, you know, there are moments where you naturally want to pick up everything you can, but then one of your teammates would be like, oh no, I need a gun. And it's more valuable for your team to everyone have a gun than it is for you to have like an arsenal with you. So it lets you select the items and drop them for your teammates and all that sort of stuff. So once we would start getting used to the controls and everything, we knew what we were doing. It was kind of like, okay, who's got no health? I'll give you bandages, and stuff like that. I was very, very impressed with it, and the fact that it's free, I just kind of think, well, you need to play this. Like, if you haven't played Battlegrounds and you don't know what it's all about, this is a great introduction to that genre and why people love it so much, I think. And even better if you can get into a squad, just to get your bearings on the game. Don't just run into solo and expect to know what's going on.
Yeah.
It takes a little bit of explaining and a little bit of coordination and understanding of the mechanics and everything to understand. But Matt, you'd absolutely love this.
Yeah, I downloaded it, and I'm definitely good to play it. Like I said, because I was on a holiday last week, but I did watch some stuff on Twitch, and it looks fascinating, especially the crafting and the building of sort of structures. And some of the streamers I was watching, if someone was up like a huge staircase or on something that they built, they were just shooting the thing that they built beneath them, so they would fall to their death. And also these people were crafting like staircases in a half second. So they were just they were crafting the buildings around them. It's not like a thing where you got to hold down the button for 5 seconds. It's not slow and laborious. That they were basically like chucking out. It's like that scene in Wallace and Gromit: The Wrong Trousers where the dog where Gromit started chucking down the track in front of him. And they were it was really, really super high into the sky. But that looks like a really interesting mechanic that differs from Battlegrounds. I'm definitely good to play it.
Yeah, it's good.
It's hella good.
Check that out. John, have you played anything else?
I played a couple of games. I played Ruiner on PS4, which is the game from Devolver Digital. I don't know if any of you guys have seen anything of this.
I've only heard of it.
I have. I've not played it, but I've seen it.
So it's like a twin stick shooter, sort of top down isometric twin stick shooter. Very Devolver. So the whole idea is that the story itself isn't really worth going over, but the kind of tone of the game is sort of grimy and grim and nasty, and it certainly seems at the beginning where you're this guy with like a sort of electronic face mask where words can appear, a bit like that guy in Watch Dogs, but he's just got a leather jacket on, and the music's this sort of thudding, like dirty techno, and it looks, it's like all the marketing was about it's being violent and grimy and nasty and stuff like that, and it is that, and it's sort of actually is somewhere in between a Hotline Miami and a little bit of a Nex Machina, and something even like an Alienation. There's definitely more than one Housemarque game in there. It's made by a small Polish team of ex Dead Island and Witcher devs, and it has a lot going for it. The music's amazing. The gun, the actual action is decent. You have a dash button where you're quickly firing around a map super fast. It's really, really fucking hard on the normal mode. On the hardest mode, it's a joke. But you have an instant respawn, so you kind of get into that flow like you do in Hotline Miami, where you're dying, restart. And for the game's probably about 3 hours long. It'll take you longer if you play on harder difficulty, obviously. For the first hour and a half of that, it's really quite something. Once you start, there's like a big skill tree, and you can add and respec as you want. But once you start getting some of the abilities of this character and kind of get sucked into the flow of this really strong aesthetic, and this again the soundtrack is really quite something. When you get into that flow, it feels really fucking good. But for me, as somebody who, I do like the kind of nastier side of art sometimes, is weird a thing as it is to say, and Ruiner I don't think goes the whole hog, and it's nowhere near as sort of caustic or unpleasant as Hotline Miami. In fact, it ends up being a little bit heroic. There's a lot of anime in there, and it loses some of what makes it feel special at the beginning. By the end of the game, it starts repeating a lot of ideas, even though it's a short game. There's a few different ways it mixes things up with different enemies that you fight, and a couple of different things you can do within battles. But by the end of it, you're seeing that recycled 2, 3, 4 times, and there's not really any ideas, and it just kind of peters out with a very strange ending. So I liked it. I wouldn't necessarily say run out and buy it full price. But then again, if you whack it up to hard, you might really love the mechanics so much that it gets to you. But I felt like they was very, very close to something that gets inside your blood and gets inside your sinew, like Hotline Miami does. Even though it doesn't look like that, it's modern engine. I think it's also on Unreal 4. But yeah, it didn't quite smash it out the park. But I love the fact that Devolver as a publisher has this kind of aesthetic and has this kind of commitment to doing stuff that's kind of a little bit nasty, a little bit punk rock, a little bit, out there in the stuff they put out, even though the sort of quality varies a bit. I like the fact that they're a publisher with, with the...
Like, you know what you're getting.
Yeah, I can't think of the exact way to describe it. Exactly that.
Does it offer anything that Nex Machina
It's
doesn't?
nowhere near as good a game as Nex Machina. Nowhere near. It is not even close. It's fine. If you broke it down purely mechanically, it's a decent twin-stick shooter with a quite decent dash mechanic. It becomes a bit more than the sum of its parts due to everything else. But yeah, that game is like an incredible sort of... like an incredible culmination of 20-30 years of twin stick shooting, isn't it? In collaboration with the godfather of that genre, Nex Machina. Ruiner is just like an alright, decent sort of 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10 job, depending on how much you get into it, with a banging soundtrack. I won't say the soundtrack at all, it's banging.
Cool. All right, anything
just
else?
a quick one as well. Talking of hard games, I've been playing some Cuphead, which took me by surprise. Has anyone else played this?
No, but I've obviously heard loads about it.
Yeah, for sure. So we know the game. Obviously, it looks absolutely fucking amazing. The style is sort of, you can almost peerless, I would say. The sort of 1930s cartoon style. Every single frame of it has been handcrafted. But for some reason, again, even more so than Ruiner, brutally difficult, like unpleasantly difficult. I downloaded it just after it came out, and I banged it on stream. And I mean, people watching must have thought I was a fucking psychopath, because it was just driving me absolutely crazy. And there's a satisfaction into beating. It's mainly a boss rush with some platforming levels in between, and everything's designed really, really well. It feels nice. I have some qualms with the way the controls are laid out. You're basically sort of shooting. It could have been a twin stick shooter and use the shoulder buttons for like jumping and dashing, but instead everything's on the face buttons. But fine, that's the way they wanted to make the game. It looks so amazing, and the style's so amazing, and it's so funny and charming, and you just want to love it, and yet it just wants to fucking slap you back down the whole time. And these boss fights, which make up the majority of the game, they're so brutally difficult. They're all about sort of extreme pattern learning. And I mean, I just, like, if every game is going to be this fucking hard from now on, like, nobody's got time, and it just seems crazy that a game with this much love poured into it doesn't at least have an easier mode. And in actual fact, it does have an easier mode. So you can play every level on regular or simple. Regular is a bit of a misnomer. But you can play all of the things on simple, and it's still hard, but it's fine. You can get through it, but you're not allowed to progress through the game. So you can play a whole level's worth. There's 3 worlds, right? So you can play all the stages on that world on simple, but if you want to get through to the next one, you have to beat them on the hard difficulty, which is the normal difficulty.
So it's sort of like a practice mode rather than
exactly that. And it just seems like, why would you lock away all this amazing stuff? I don't get it. And I was speaking to old Chet Roivas about it, who was having very similar reaction to me. We just wanted to love this game. We were playing at the same time. And he was saying, think about Velocity 2X or even Velocity from Future Lab. That is a game that pretty much anybody who's a gamer, anybody has that skill set, that muscle memory, that language, can get through all 50 levels of both games, right? Even though they're quite tricky. But if you want it, there's an extremely hard game in both of them trying to chase the gold medals, and it actually changes the way you play that entire game. And it feels like Cuphead could do the same thing. You could play through a moderately difficult game and just lap it up and enjoy it. And then there's a whole grading system in the game. There are already these extremely hard versions of it in the game. I don't get why I'm being punished for being a 35-year-old with 2 kids and, works 10, 12, 14 hours a day to see that content. I'm not asking for it to be piss easy, and I 100% respect any developer who wants to craft the difficulty around their game to enhance that experience. But in my opinion, it doesn't enhance that experience. I think you could scale down the difficulty to the simple level and still everything that's great about Cuphead would still be great about Cuphead. And that hard difficulty could still be there. The streamers could still enjoy that hard difficulty. You could be added bonus, even levels you unlock with that maybe. But I don't get why it's hard. It's like harder than Meat Boy. I just want to see the fucking rest of the game. I turned it on again today. Just go, okay, we're gonna be that hard. And I was like, it just got slapped down immediately by this one boss. I'm still in the first world, and I know I could do it. The thing is, you could learn the patterns and do it. But even a game like Dark Souls or Bloodborne, where you have that level of difficulty in there, at least you have that interspersed with the sort of quieter moments, the moments of reflection, the moments where it's not quite so difficult, the moments where, or even the points where you know how the game works a bit better, so you can kind of get through these sections between the bosses. This is none of that. It's just brutal all the time.
But if a game wants to shoot for that style, right? If a game wants to say, okay, I want to be fucking rock hard and relentless, like what's wrong with that?
Absolutely,
there's nothing wrong with it. But it's limiting the audience, though.
It's absolutely nothing wrong with it.
It is, yeah, but
I think it's to the detriment of this particular project as a game.
Right, okay.
Yeah, because did this sound like all the things that people love Dark Souls for,
right? Yes, but I mean, and some people are loving it. Don't get me wrong, some people are loving the difficulty. But I just came off Ruiner, which was fucking brutally difficult. How many of these extremely difficult games does there need to be? And is it a game as sumptuous as Cuphead? You want to see it. I want to see it all and enjoy that amazing art and everything like that. Can't it be as hard as like the harder stuff in Super Mario World? Like, that's still pretty fucking hard. Does it need to be, you're going to have to do this boss 45 times to be able to beat it? Because I streamed it, but you said you watched a bit, Dave, and I finally did beat that fucking boss on the plane. It was
so good, because one of the points you made, right, is that you think that, if I read your tweet right today, you think that games are going to shoot for this insane difficulty a hell of a lot more because it makes for good streaming.
It does.
And that obviously in turn helps sales.
Exactly. And you look at Cuphead today on Twitch, like when I streamed it, I streamed just after it came out, like a matter of minutes, and I don't think I had more than 2 new people stop by to check it out. It was quite a quiet stream, which is fine. And I was like, I checked it today, and there's like 8,000 people watching this one, 4,000 watching this one, 3, and I was like, fuck it! Everyone's found out how hard it is, and so all the big boys have got on it because they know that they can create that stream drama. Yeah, that drama, because that's what the great streams are. They have that attention. That's why PUBG works. Sorry, to use that annoying acronym. So I get it. And I do you know what? If I had fucking 4,000 people watching me, I'd suck it up too. I'd take the difficulty. But I just wanted to see Cuphead, man. I thought I'll stick this on. This would be nice. And I ended up in a war, and I wasn't quite ready for that war at that time. And I might go back to it with the knowledge that this is going to be a fight, and I reckon I can beat it. But if every game is going to be a fight, and I'm not saying every game is, I'm over-exaggerating, don't get me wrong, but if this becomes the trend, like I've got another game on my Switch, Butcher. I won't go into it that much, it's been out a while. I got it, a bunch of games came out this week. Really good game. Again, just wants to fuck you over the whole time because with being extremely difficult. It's like, man, I've got stuff to do.
I don't think we'll always have easier games. We'll always have, more accessible games. Yeah, we
will. I just think we're going to see more and more of this.
We will, and as right as I think you are, watching that stream you were playing the other night was so entertaining.
It was, okay.
Like you getting wound up, and then to the point where you were when you finally beat that boss, and you could see the joy in your face when you finally well, no, I wouldn't say joy exactly, but that sort of relief, I guess. It just made for like proper entertaining viewing.
Well, that makes me want to stream the rest of it to own fucking
but this is it. And I've mentioned this a million times, but one of my favourite ever streams was watching Jeff Green play Dark Souls, and when you see him complete the game or when you see him beat the first boss, that sort of emotional moment that they had, like that sort of the reaction that you can't like fake and you can't hide, was just, it made it so entertaining to watch. And I think, it's a bit annoying that it's hard, and I would love to see it and stuff like that. But at the same time, I think there's a place for these sort of games, and
I think
as long as they don't become too much of a trend, then fine.
But would
it's just
to devil's advocate you a little bit, would we lose anything by the streams being Cuphead on hard, because that's what it got the news that had gone around the internet that's the real mode? But if I want to see it, why not let me get through it on the simple mode just so I can see it, and then okay, they go, fuck you, that wasn't actually the real game. Yeah, you've seen the bosses. I get it on some games. I get it on
I totally get that, but then
I don't know. It's just you play it, mate. It's fucking hard.
There's no way you play Dark Souls on easy, though, would you? Like, And
Well, that's the counter argument.
Well, this is the point, isn't it? You lose that aspect of it being a rock hard
You
game
do,
if
but
there's
I
an
think
easy mode that you
Dark
can
Souls is
fix
so skillfully woven into every element of its design, its difficulty, and even its narrative, that I think it justifies every part of it. Whereas I don't really get why Cuphead's so hard, other than the fact that it's just hard. Do you know what I mean? There doesn't seem any real reason for it, other than the fact, look, we made this fucking hard game. We remortgaged our house. We basically nearly killed ourselves to make this game for years and years and years. Oh, by the way, nobody's going to be able to finish it unless you either have all the time in the world or you're incredibly skilled.
John, does it feel like unfairly difficult?
There are times where it feels like you. I mean, I'm sure with extreme pattern recognition, you could avoid every hit, and I think there's already videos out there of people not getting hit for the whole game. I mean, I don't understand how those people do it, but there are more than one time where I felt like, okay, well, I've got myself into a little situation which I can't get out, and you only have 3 hit points per level. And the annoying thing is if you mess up very, very early doors, you're basically at a disadvantage for a whole 6-minute boss battle at that point, and there's no way of getting your life back. And there's a mechanic where you can parry pink things that come at you, which gets you a bit of your special meter back. But I don't think the mechanic's designed very well. I think the timing is either too extreme or the hitboxes aren't quite right. So to risk doing that is so risky, because I don't feel the game is quite up to the task of what it's asking me to do, that you don't bother doing it. And so, man, I just think, why? Why does it need to be like that? But I'm not saying as a general rule that there shouldn't be games like that. There absolutely should. I just think in this particular case, it doesn't need to be that fucking hard.
The game. Yeah.
So that's the thing, because when I played through Dark Souls, whenever I messed up and stuff, and when it did feel difficult, it always felt like it was my fault.
Yeah, I have heard on another podcast, James. I have heard on another one at least that they say it's less. It's not. It basically is about just recognizing the patterns, and it isn't unfair. But I guess if you weren't prepared for a game of that type, I think if you're going back in, John, and knowing what the game's trying to do, you might have a much better time.
I wasn't prepared for it to be this hard. I was really taken aback by how difficult the very first level was, because it doesn't ease you in at all. And it's okay if that's the game you want to make. Don't get me wrong, I want to reiterate that. Fine. But, again, it's just weird when you hear the stories of them remortgaging their house and all this sort of stuff to make something. But then again, on the flip side of that, it's suddenly blowing up on Twitch, which will definitely increase its sales because more people want to get involved and hit that challenge. So, fuck knows, the world's changing. The game, everything's changing a little bit. But for me, I'd have liked to have just been two little sprinkles less difficult. And maybe that makes me a weak motherfucker, but I don't care.
It's a game that I'm interested in, but I just ain't got time for that right now. I've not got time for that right now.
The thing is, Harry will love watching it, and then he'll be like, 20 minutes in, you'll be like, fuck this fucking game, and he'll be like, Daddy, play Cuphead.
No. Okay, cool. And was that your last one?
Yeah, I played Odds and Sods, but nothing worth talking about, I don't think.
That is a good list of GAM. Matt, what have you been playing?
I've just been playing one game, and that's Rime, the game that came out a while ago. Loads of people seemed quite excited about it before it came out, and then because there's a bit of a delay to the Switch version, it seemed to just fall off a cliff, and no one really seemed to be bothered about it.
Well, it got lukewarm results, reception, didn't it? There wasn't a lot of people saying, well, it's okay. And that sort of killed off any sort of buzz about it.
Yeah, because I remember a few people on Twitter were also waiting for the Switch version because it looked perfect for that, and because that was also delayed, combined with the lukewarm response, it seemed to nothing really seemed to happen with it. But a guy lent it to me, and I'm really, really enjoying it so far. So Rime it's a third-person adventure game, very much in the same sort of vein as Journey, as Abzu, Bound, Ico, all those sorts of games. I mean, it wears its influences on its sleeve very, very, very clearly. It's very much a game of that type. You're this boy that's washed up on this island, and in sort of similar Ico and Shadow of the Colossus sort of themes, you don't say anything, it's just sounds, and you navigate this world through puzzles, and that's basically it. I've played probably about 5 or so hours, and I believe I'm probably about 2/3 of the way through. But what I've played so far, I'm really, really, really enjoying it. And I think if you are a fan of Shadow Colossus, Nico, those sorts of games, I think there's a lot to get out of this game as well. The puzzle,
but what does it what makes it unique from those games?
Honestly, nothing really. But I think if you enjoy games of that type, I think you'll get a lot out of it because it's another game of that type. I mean, in terms of originality, it doesn't really do an awful lot. I mean, it looks absolutely gorgeous. I think graphically it's probably a bit more stylized than those games. It's sort of cel shaded but without the black borders. So it reminds me a bit of like Wind Waker, but yeah, it's a really, really gorgeous game. And I think there's 5 areas, and I think I've done 3 or 4 so far, all of which seem pretty unique from each other. There's like the beach sort of scene, which I think you've probably seen a lot of the marketing, and the that's the first level, where's bright, beautiful blue skies. There's these huge sort of white towers. There's gorgeous sea and whatnot. So that's the location a lot of you have seen, but there's also other areas where it's I'm not going to ruin it, but there's basically underground bits, there's dark bits, there's light bits. So there's lots of quite varied locations. But so graphically, I think it's really nice. Although I will say, just touching on that, the frame rate of this game at points can go into what feels like single digit figures.
Oh, Jesus.
And I'm playing on a pro. I don't quite know what the deal is. So this game came out a few months ago, and it was pretty ropey, and so I wonder what the issue was. And I checked for a latest patch. This game has not been patched. This game is still on version 1.0, yeah, and there were no patches out. So yeah, I mean, it'd be nice if they were to patch something just to fix, because the frame rate. It particularly in the first open area, and where you can like go up on these quite high structures and look over the map, and the thing crawls at points. But even some of the indoor locations, sometimes when there's an enemy or two, the frame rate will drop, and which is a bit annoying. But I think it looks nice. Sound wise, it's absolutely amazing. It's got a really incredible orchestral score throughout the game, which it really like amps the emotion up in certain scenes, and it's an absolutely gorgeous soundtrack. I'm definitely gonna go back and listen to it after this. But as I said earlier, there's no dialogue in this game. There's no voice acting. You can press triangle to make the boy shout, or basically there are certain context sensitive areas where if you press triangle at certain locations, he might make a slightly different sound, but there's nothing other than that really. And yeah, it's just full of puzzles that basically make the whole environment feel like a giant machines. Say in the first area, there's these huge towers where you've got to basically navigate, and you've got to move. You've got to move these huge pillars that move the light around. There are loads of puzzles that use light and shadow. To really clever effect. There's one particular one quite early on where you're in this room with a light source which you can drag around the room, and there's these statues in the room, and there's these 3 points on the wall, and you're basically going to move the light source around so that the shadows from those various statues in the room block the 3 points. So you've got to move things around quite a lot. And the puzzles, for me, I'm not great at games, but the puzzles have been the right side of taxing. I haven't really been stuck at all, and if anything,
what do you do to solve puzzles? Like, is there
move things around?
Yeah.
Is it just like moving blocks and stuff?
Moving blocks, or it's all environmental puzzles. There's these little sort of platforms where you stand up, you look into, and basically then it goes in like a first person view, and you basically have to move the view around to create maybe a door frame. Or maybe something else to basically complete an environmental puzzle. You might see these 2 structures where if you go up close to them, they just look like random structures. But when you go to this lookout post a bit further back, you can see that if you position your view a certain way, they can basically create a doorway, or the shape of a doorway, and then when you do that, it will glow, and then that is a doorway for which you can then travel through.
Like in Hellblade has puzzles like that.
Oh, cool!
You line up the camera and the scenery and shit, and it turns into stuff.
There's quite a lot of that sort of stuff. But then, like I said, there's loads of stuff with light and with shadows, where certain things will happen because there's a shadow there or not. Yeah, so there's a lot of environmental puzzles, but in terms of the puzzles, although I've enjoyed them all, they are very much all of a certain theme, and I've done the block puzzle a few times. So I don't think there's an awful lot of variety, but what I have played, I've enjoyed. And in terms of actually how hard it is, it's not very taxing at all. And I think many people would probably find it a bit too easy and potentially a bit boring as a result. For me, it's the right side of easy, and it's enough to keep me playing. In terms of navigating the area, you can do a small jump, but apart from that, you're basically running around and you're climbing certain specific areas of the map. Again, it's not particularly taxing in terms of navigating the world, but I presume it's probably also the really good level design. But I feel like I'm being pushed along, or maybe I don't know. I guess honestly, I feel like I'm choosing the way I want to go, but that just appears to be the way to go in a map. So it's not saying go here. I'm exploring myself, but I guess it must be just how the levels and the map and the environments are signposted.
That's what they call good game design,
and it's good. But I honestly, I think although it so far at least, and I haven't finished it, and that might change. It doesn't appear to be doing an awful lot of things that the other Team Ico games are doing. Although I will say it doesn't have really, really annoying enemies. When I've been playing this, I'm thinking it's sort of like The Last Guardian, but without the annoying enemies. And although there are some enemies in the game from about halfway onwards, they're basically just there to bring a little bit of tension to the scenes, but they're not really going to do much to you. If they do kill you, you basically come back within a second or two, and you haven't missed much. So there's a bit of tension there because of the enemies, but they're certainly not enough to annoy you, like I have done certainly playing. Certainly playing some of the other Team Ico games. But yeah, I think if you like them, I think there's loads and loads to like here. Graphically, it looks nice. Musically, I think it's fantastic, and I'm really enjoying it so far.
It's weird. It sounds alright, but it just kind of sounds like, well, there are these other games that seem to offer something a little bit more unique. Why would you play this over them?
Yeah, I guess so. But personally, if you've played those games, you want another game in that style, and I don't think there are many games in this style. I think this is well worth picking up. And there's other games like Abzu, which is very much like Journey, apparently, and Bound is another game of that same sort of abstract style. And I think there's definitely enough to get out of this. I mean, I've played it probably about 5 hours, and apparently it's about 8 hours long. I think, I'm sure this is super cheap now, but I also reckon it'll be brilliant on Switch. I reckon it'll look great on that platform when it comes out. I'm not sure.
Is it out on Switch? It's still not out on Switch.
I don't think it is. James, do you know?
It's not yet, no, because I'm interested in this as well. But I was waiting for the Switch version.
Yeah, but yeah,
and there's no online stuff, no.
No, I guess it would appear not. I mean, it's basically a single player. There are like collectibles, but those seem pretty basic. You can find there's various things around the map which basically are just pictures of artwork that relate to the game, and they sort of build upon the story. The story itself is pretty ambiguous. But I get the impression it's going to be one of those things where it's what I think the story is, rather than explicitly saying, here's the story, which I much prefer, in all honesty. But yeah, I think well worth picking up. I haven't finished it yet. I hear it's got a good ending, but good. Recommended.
You not played this, John?
No, I've not played Rime. It looked okay. I didn't like the developer's previous game. Is it Deadlight?
Deadlight I did, yeah.
Yeah, Tequila Works, isn't it? Who made it? It's like one of those games that might come out. It's terrible to say. One of those games that might come out on PS Plus one day, and I'll probably smash it then. But yeah, there's no. I mean, at the moment, the time to play anything other than something that might last about 3 hours, like Ruiner, is just not happening. And then fucking Fortnite comes along and just ruins everything. So. Yeah,
there's so much else out there, but if you want a game of the same sort of type as Journey and Ico stuff, then yeah, I think you can do a lot worse than playing this.
Okay.
And that's your list.
Other than that, I briefly logged into Destiny to choose a faction in the faction rally. That's about it, really.
Who'd you go with?
Future Warcraft, of course.
Yes, of course.
They were boys from the
It's
first
all about
one, although they did seem to have a half decent weapon. But yeah, I chose them.
Did you? I was on Dead Orbit
I mean,
last
admittedly,
time, but
I was on all of them to get my in the first game because you had to switch all the time to get different weapons. But yeah,
John, who'd you go?
I
with?
went with the other ones. There's a New Monarchy.
New Monarchy, yeah.
What? Why?
Well, because that means I didn't have to go back. That was the last one I got to, so I didn't have to go back. I couldn't be fucked to go back to the other one, so I just thought I'd do that one.
I wonder how many people have done it for that exact reason. Are they going to win? Because
it's weird that they are so split up. Why?
Yeah.
Well, they're so split up, and then they lead you through one by one, don't they? But the furthest one away is the one that you end up at before you have to make your choice.
Yeah, it was that by the time I got to the third one, in The Simpsons, where Bart's really bored and his head's just tilted backwards and his mouth's open. That was that was what I was doing. By the time I got to the third one, I had to listen to their bullshit. So I was just like, I'm not going back again.
I heard
that everyone was going, oh, you got to go to Future War Cult because they got the best weapons or whatever. And I was like, well, if all of the the podcasts and the Destiny podcasts and that saying that, then surely this is going to be the one that everyone chooses and it's the one that's going to win. But now you mention it, maybe I should have just gone to the last one before you have to choose.
Even if that wins, you get to buy a sidearm. And no.
Yeah, exactly. I don't use sidearms. Fuck that. What do we get if we win, Matt?
We get a pulse rifle.
Have you done a Nightfall yet?
No. I've been away. I've done nothing. I need to, I'm barely, I think I'm like 269, so I've been super slacking. But yeah, back to normality this week, so back on that. Want to get raid ready, want to do a Nightfall, all sorts.
I quite like the Nightfalls. I wasn't 100% sure that the time stuff was going to be a good thing, but
this week's is great.
But I really like it. I do really like it, even though we almost had a breakdown trying to do it. What was it, Friday night?
Friday night? Oh, it's bad.
Something like that. Yeah, John was getting, what do you call it, like Red Ross?
Red John was out.
Isn't it a good one this week?
It is. I thought it was really good, but it takes a lot of coordination, and as with the last one that I played, you have to readjust how you play Destiny to get through it. I mean, I was using a subclass that I'd never use and stuff like that because you've really got to think about it. Are you
constantly switching yours anyway?
No. Wow. Well, you don't really need to this time, do you? Pretty much everything unlocks straight away.
No, but I'm always changing it if I'm fighting like a major enemy which has like a different, like Void or Arc or Solar.
Yeah, but hold on, you switch subclass every time you come across a different shield.
Well, no,
that's mad because it resets your super
for the bosses. Yeah, but if one super's just gone, I then switch to another one which might be relevant for that enemy type. Definitely.
No, don't do that. That's a long thing. I like the fact that I mean we've been saying for ages, John, that Destiny's good and everything, but I've hardly feel up against the wall at any point. I definitely felt that.
Oh yeah,
and I think if we'd have finished it that night, we would have gone, okay, that's brilliant.
Yeah, even if we'd started it a bit before and we had the whole kerfuffle because we were on stream and we were trying to get Discord working while we were playing. I mean, it was stupid, really. But if we just played it normally, it started at like 10 or something, I think we would have done it and it would have been glorious.
John did that thing as well where he invited someone to be on our fire team and then they took more than 5 seconds, so I invited someone else and they come in and then the guy that we originally invited said, okay, I'm ready.
Okay. Yeah, I know.
We were like, so we go,
well, I'm back this week, so ready for it.
Yeah, but we need, higher level players, I think.
What? On the same level. What level are you, John?
276, boy.
Negligible.
Yeah, exactly.
Matt, you're nowhere near raid ready. James, what? So you've been playing it, have you?
Yeah, I mean, I played it and finished. Obviously, I finished the single player, but I'm up to level, I think, 240 something at the moment. But
man, you're catching Matt up.
Which is not that great. But I've got a question though about the adventures because for some reason I do them and then they seem to reappear again. Is that normal?
It's probably on reset day. Do they? I think they reappear on reset day, don't they? So yeah, that's what's happening. Every Tuesday is reset day. So everything gets reset, like you milestones and all sorts of shit like that. If you started a raid and your checkpoint gets reset on Tuesday, so you have to kind of complete it in a week. And yeah, so that's probably what's happening. But yeah, don't focus on the adventures too much. If I was giving you any advice to level up at this stage, run strikes, man. Just run strikes, because you usually get a few big drops out of that. You know, if not from the boss,
Public
then
events.
from public events
Get
is
that
another good one.
flashpoint done
Yeah,
every week.
I've been joining those whenever they appear because they're not too difficult at the moment.
No.
They do pay off quite a bit. Although they have done something. Have you noticed? I mean, I don't know if it was changed, but public sector, what they call them, lost sectors.
Yeah.
It feels like they've changed them a little bit now, because if you do 2 on one planet, that you open the chest and it's empty. And it's asking you as a milestone to do several of them. And it's kind of like, it's a bit annoying because although you're working towards your milestone, at the same time you're getting to the chest at the end of it and it's empty.
Really?
Sucks. Yeah, I've had I had to do like 6 of them on one planet as a milestone, and after I did the first 2, it was just empty chests after that. I was well disappointed, but yeah, no. Other than that, it continues to be amazing. The Crucible stuff is great. Have you played much Crucible, James?
I played no Crucible at all.
Oh, mate, you gotta give it a go. It's fucking brilliant. Crucible is so good this time. There's a few duff maps, but the majority of the maps are really, really good.
What do you think about single player, James?
Well, I've really enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed it, and that's why I'm still keep playing through the adventures and stuff, because it's been, I don't know, the stories, okay, they're not always amazing, but they are always like engaging, and the voice acting is great. I like the characters a lot, and this is why, as I said, I keep going back to the adventures, because I like them. They're just short enough that you can spend, I don't know, about sort of 20, 30 minutes or whatever on one and still feel like I've sort of achieved something, which is why I was getting a bit annoyed when they come back again, because then it feels like there's no progression with that, if you see what I mean.
Well, yeah, the progression doesn't lie in any of the missions or anything like that, is it? It's all to do with, you know, what you're wearing and what you're shooting. Mm-hmm. That's what, yeah, I wouldn't worry about that too much. Don't focus on progressing through missions as such, just more about working on what your character's got, your inventory and stuff. Yeah, I'm kind of at the stage where it doesn't really matter about the power level of my stuff. It's now about building an arsenal that I'm comfortable with and that works well. So I'm trying to jockey exotics and legendaries to the sort of setup that I like, and then making sure that they're powerful enough to go in using missions. So at the moment I can get to 286. I could get to 286, but my character's 284 because I don't like the weapons that get me to 286. So yeah, I'm sort of pissing around with that at the moment. But yeah, we've got a lot more to play of that. Also, Matt, I really want to try the equivalent of heroic story missions. Well, I haven't done one of those yet. You know, what is it? You get the ticket from that lady in the social space, and then you have to try and do the story mission with modifications on. We need to try and dick about with that, because I haven't tried that yet. But yeah, good game, innit, Matt? Innit, James?
Yeah, it's a very good game.
Fucking told ya.
And it's also it's such a. I find it such a time sink as well, though, because it's like,
yeah, it's insane.
Because what happens is, you know, I go on there with just thinking, okay, I'm just going to do a couple of like missions or whatever, and then it's like you do that, and then you start fiddling around with like what armor I've got and, you know, that kind of stuff. Then I think, oh, there's something else I can do over there that, you know, won't take too long, and yeah, the time just disappears. It's really, really good. It's better than I was expecting, and I wasn't even going to buy this game, and it's ended up being fucking brilliant.
Bloody good. Right, okay, anything else?
Yeah, well, I've been playing FIFA 18 on Switch.
Ooh, I forgot you were going to talk about this tonight, and I'm really, really interested. So you got the Switch version?
I have got the Switch version, yeah.
Go on.
Okay.
He's got a list. He's got a list. Did you hear the paper going then? He's got a list.
I've totally got a list. I mean, because I've got really mixed feelings about it. Is the problem?
Well, hold on, because this is brilliant. Because James went to talk to us about it at the weekend, and both Matt and I just went, "Nope, stop! We want to hear live on the show." So, let's go.
Okay, I'm gonna start off negative. Is that all right?
And end negative.
No.
And negative
anyway. Anyway, I mean, to me, okay, so far, like, I've been playing it mostly in handheld mode, but on the TV, it looks fine to me. As in, it looks like a step up from the 360, but not quite like PS4. If you see what I mean, it's fine. It's really fine. It's okay. But
I see what you mean.
But the thing is with the handheld mode though, is that for some reason it reminds me a bit of mobile FIFA. Do you remember that? On iOS. It's like because the animations, it's the way it feels like there's like a limited animation set for each player, which sometimes makes the movement feel like like really kind of sluggish because there's not as many frames as there probably should be, for like animating. But
why would that
players.
feel any different in handheld than it does TV mode?
I don't know. It just looks a bit different. For some reason, to me, it just looks.
I imagine just because it looks similar to how you would be playing it on your phone, so you just thinking this feels like a phone game. No,
maybe maybe. I mean, there's also I mean, that's not really a problem, but the bigger problem that I found is that it does feel like
definitely nailed it, Matt. You definitely nailed it. None of this may be nonsense. You definitely nailed it there.
Yeah. Anyway, the bigger problem, I think, is that there's a slight button lag with it as well. And it feels like there's like a sort of a fraction of a second delay, particularly when you're shooting. And that is really irritating, actually. It's just like a fraction of a second. And, like, before, you press the button and then it doesn't hit like it does like in the other games in the series, and that is
are you saying that that's in both handheld and TV mode or just
yes that's in both modes.
Right, okay. It's
like this sort of slight delay, but it's one of those things where I think because there's bugs in this game as well. There's like weird bugs.
Yeah,
I
saw that today.
I mean, there's been that thing with like the no faces thing, which is odd.
The no face guys. Yeah,
I mean, also I've had it. Coming out of Resume, there's been problems with that sometimes. It's like locked up my Switch, like whereby it won't switch on, and I have to like do a hard reset, which is a bit odd. But I'd expect that most of that stuff's probably going to get fixed. But this is the first game also that I've played on the Switch that has really, really made me want a Pro controller because my hands really hurt from playing this on the Joy-Cons. In a way that it hasn't with other games, and I think maybe that's just because I'm used to playing like football games, like with a Xbox or like PlayStation controller. So it's do you know what I mean? But you have like sort of a way of like holding the controller when you're playing like football games, and it's like that. I don't feel like the Joy-Cons are really very suited to it, but that may just be because I'm so used to the other control set.
No, I think we've mentioned it on the podcast a lot that football games, they seem to wear out controllers a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is, but a real test of good sticks on a controller is a football game because you for some reason you tend to, but I don't know if it's more tension when you're playing or if you're trying to force the stick further than it'll possibly go. But it seems to be that the game that wrecks controllers for me and why I had to put metal sticks in my PS4 was football games. And to try and play that on a smaller stick is you're going to notice the difference, and you're certainly going to notice in your hand.
If you're pressing them really hard, you're going to have like imprints. If you're playing an angry game of FIFA, that can't be good.
Oh god, when you play Mario Kart, like you're absolutely holding the button down as hard as it'll possibly go, and you get that little circle on your hand, like on the tip of your thumb or whatever. But this is the sad thing, is that I mean, you bought this so that you could play FIFA on the move.
Yeah. And
if you're gonna have to buy a Pro controller to play
it's not.
Doesn't it kind of ruin that?
I don't feel like I have to buy one. It's just that it feels like. It's mostly the stick is the problem, actually, thinking about it, because there isn't enough sort of like travel. Like it doesn't feel like it's like long enough, for the movement. But I don't know. I mean, it doesn't. If you're only playing for like I don't know, like an hour or something like that, maybe it's fine. But if you for like longer, it does start to get painful. And this is why I want to get a Pro controller.
John, sorry, John. How do you play with your Pro controller every time you play your Switch now?
Not every time, but quite often if I'm on a train and there's enough room. I'll just whack the Pro controller in my bag as well, and just stand the Switch up on my case and just play with the Pro controller, and it's so much better than playing handheld. I still play handheld plenty, but if I given the opportunity, because it's not that much more to take with you, just whack it in a rucksack. And I did maybe. I think that's when I finished Breath of the Wild. I did it like that, just playing Pro controller on a train. and yeah, it works lovely.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to get one for Mario.
Yeah, I think so. It's probably the best thing I've bought all year. Yeah, like in terms of peripherals, the Pro Controller. I don't regret a single thing about it, even though it's expensive.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to end up with one by the end of the year, no doubt. But okay.
So that's
all negative.
That's the negative stuff, but then this is the good stuff.
Here we go.
Okay, the online does seem to work fine, although it's kind of limited, obviously, because of the what the Switch is. There's no voice comms, and it only seems to has like online seasons. So you're like going up through the divisions, and I mean I don't play a huge amount of online anyway, but I've played with a couple of randoms, and it's been fine.
But but can you play with your mates?
No, I don't think so.
No.
I didn't see any sign for that.
You can't invite your mates into... Has it got co-op seasons?
No, I don't think it's got that either.
Yeah, so you say it's got online, and
Yeah.
yes, functionally it might work online against other people, but if you can't play FIFA against or with your mates, then that is online for so many people.
Yeah. Yeah, but then it depends what you want to play, what you want the game for, and that's not what I want the game for. Because I don't care about that, like, really that much.
Selfish.
If I was going to do that, then I can still, I'd play it on PS4 or whatever. I'd have bought it on that.
So if you want to
The
online,
fact that this started as a positive, a James Farley positive.
No. The positive is that the positive is that it does work. Like it does. There is something that works.
God,
and
that's
although,
what we've
like
got
I said,
to
it's
have
really
with the
limited,
Switch games.
it does work.
The positive is it works. You can connect it to the World Wide Web, and another player.
Well, at least it works. Seems to work better than PES does online, from what I've heard.
Ooh.
So.
You're right.
Shots fired.
This works fine.
And then shots fired, but extremely laggy.
This works perfectly online.
Really? I thought I saw you. Was it? I saw somebody.
It takes
complaining
ages
about
to get
how
a game. It takes ages to get a game. I said 3/4 of an hour. It's like maybe 70 seconds, but it's annoying because But once you're in, it's lovely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, with this, I mean, there was no lag or anything like that. I mean, that was fine. It's just that obviously there's no voice comms or anything like that because Nintendo.
That's a good thing.
Yeah,
if you're playing with randoms anyway, that is a good thing. Although I do miss the times where people didn't realise that their Xbox Connect was also a microphone, and you'd hear some kid I remember beating some kid like 5-0, and him just going like the fifth goal went in. Dad, he's got a fifth now. He's bloody Millwall. It's like, they didn't realise his mic was on. Those moments were great.
So what you're telling me, James, is that Nintendo haven't updated the online app to include FIFA 18 stuff. Is that what you're saying?
Well, they haven't updated it to include Mario Kart or any of their own games, so I doubt they bothered to do it for, like EA or whatever.
I mean, that's shocking, isn't it? That is. I mean, it was crazy enough to using that, but then to not even update it for the various online games is...
So the arms and fucking Mario Kart.
If you go to app now, it's just literally Splatoon, right?
Yeah, that's all it is
Jesus
still.
Christ.
It's fucking crazy.
They just don't care. They don't care about online. It's really clear they don't care.
They care enough to be able to charge us, hopefully, next year.
Exactly, that's
but
the
just
point,
money in
isn't
it?
it?
It's making cash. Is the thing. They've got it as like a feature that's like, we've got to have this, obviously, but we're not going to bother actually putting any effort into it.
This is what fucks me off when Sean defends him over fucking everything. You just want to go, come on, mate. Finally admit that this is bollocks, surely.
Yeah, of course it's bollocks, but it's like, the thing is, though, is that they probably feel that, they've got this far without having to care about this that much. And in their core market, the online stuff is not so important to them. So, what does it matter?
But
it sucks, I agree.
That is going to negatively affect any third-party release. Like, you might think, oh, brilliant, FIFA is on this, so this is like a platform with some parity. But if the online's gashed, then people aren't going to buy the third-party games, are they?
This is why, before the Switch came out, Matt, I was so negative about all this stuff, because I told you this is exactly what they were going to do, and that this is exactly how it was going to pan out. And it is exactly how it's panned out, because they don't give a fuck about online at all. It's pretty clear. And, that's what you get with this. That's why when I bought, like, FIFA Switch, I bought it knowing full well that this was not going to be something I was going to play online, because I don't care about that. But, if you do, then it's really not the one to go for, obviously.
Okay, all right, cool. And that's one positive.
Yeah.
you were going with. Let's hear the next one.
Okay, I can give you. Okay, there's also. I mean, the other stuff is still there. Like the career mode is the same basically as on other modes. It hasn't got the journey, which is probably, I don't know, is a plus point for some people. I don't know.
Is it exactly the same? The career mode is exactly the same as we used to.
Absolutely, exactly the same. Like, and also they've got all the live team stuff as well. So like
that's good. Yeah.
When it so you can like replicate what's going on in the real world.
Oh, fucking hell! Fuck playing as Palace in this year's FIFA. Jesus, turn that live mode off.
Yeah, it's like I said. Palace scored in my game, and it just doesn't happen, does it? Anyway,
not these days, no.
But then also one of the other things that is really good about it is, compared, I think, with the PS4 and Xbox One versions of FIFA that I played over the last couple of years, is the speed. Like, the speed of the UI is really good. It's really fast at loading. There's so little loading times, and I'm assuming this is because it's coming off like the cart or whatever. Like before, like whenever you were starting a game, they had those like little training sessions or whatever before, basically because they're loading the game in the background. And with this, you can just press start, like you can skip them straight away because it's already loaded. Which is brilliant because it really feels much more sort of like perfect for the pick up and play, especially with the resume mode on the Switch. Like you can just pick it up and then just continue playing, which has been it's pretty good. I mean, see, the thing is, aside from the online stuff, it doesn't feel like a significantly cut down version of FIFA. And
that's what you were most worried about, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that's what I was really concerned it was going to be. And apart from this like input lag thing, which is not a massive problem, it does play very really well. And to be honest, because all I play for is the career mode really, and because of that, this is kind of dangerous for me to have this game in in this format, because I really can end up playing this for hours, and that's why my hands hurt at the moment, because you can just, I can just sort of take it anywhere and still sort of continue playing. I mean, all I need now is Animal Crossing, and I can probably just play on my Switch and not bother with any other consoles now, because it's great having this. It's really good.
Charge you value that this week? Like that's you should try that again.
It's not the same.
No, just you never get a proper go on PS4 or whatever. Just get it on Switch, and I bet you'll fall in love with it.
It's not the same. It's too much hard work.
So, considering all the negative points you said about it, would you, if you had the chance to, just straight up trade it for a PS4 or Xbox version, would you?
That's the problem, because I've been thinking about that over the last couple of days, because I've just been thinking, would I really rather play this looking a bit better on another system? And I'm still not sure actually about that. I mean, what is a bit of a shame is that this is probably going to be the only FIFA game on the system, and they have done a really good job with it, I think. And
I'm not convinced it is. I don't think they're going to jack it in.
You don't think so?
No, especially
well, the sales figures for the Switch have been so big that they'd be mad to.
Well, it depends, doesn't it? Because it depends on how it sells. I mean, that's the thing. I mean,
well, it does, but also the fact that they've got the engine there for that specific version now. It's a unique engine for that version of the game, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's not the
360 version, and it's not the Frostbite. So, putting all the effort into getting it running on the Switch, you'd imagine that it would obviously be a lot cheaper to develop the next one.
But I mean, it's far, far better in handheld than any other football game I've ever played, I think, actually. Much better than any sort of ones I played on Vita or on obviously 3DS or anything like that. It's
you'd expect it to be though, wouldn't you?
It's proper good. I mean, it really does feel like good. I mean, I want to try the because it's got co-op, not co-op. It's got 2-player using each person as a Joy-Con, and I mean, I'd imagine that's probably even more painful. But if you're just playing for a quick game, that'd be fine. But yeah, I just need a Pro Controller. But I don't know. As I said, I'm sort of conflicted as to whether it's worth it, and I think it kind of is, just so you can take it anywhere with you. But it is also missing some stuff, which makes it not so good.
Okay, cool. Is that your list?
Yeah, pretty much. Although you know, there was an update to Mario Run. I know no one cares about this.
Oh, I saw it. Yeah, I played a bit of the remix mode.
It's good. What do you think of it?
Yeah, it's okay. It was okay. It was a bit I know. I don't know. I mean, just really short levels.
Yeah, it works though. It's
it works.
I found it quite fun.
It works. The bar set by James Farley there. Does it work? Yeah, good. Well, that's at least a 5 out of 10 then.
Yeah.
yeah, no, I haven't gone back to it properly. I just played one little remix thing and think, okay, that's fine, and then didn't go back to it. But yeah, whatever. Okay, the games that I have actually been playing this week, one of them is I played through a game called Expand, which is a 2015 game. It came out on Steam 2015, but it is coming to Xbox and PS4 this week, I think. It's a sort of indie game. I said in my review that it feels like the sort of architect, what's that word? Archetype?
Archetypal,
yeah. Yeah, it's a sort of indie game, it's trying to be art. It's really minimalistic. Like, the graphics are very, very basic. Everything's black, white, or red. It's also, you control a pink square around these sort of circular mazes that shapeshift and shift perspective and stuff. And it's got a piano score over the top of it. And I was thinking, oh god, this is like this is trying too hard to be art. This better make a point, because at the moment all I'm doing is going from A to B with a few obstacles in the way, and I'm trying to avoid things, and that's it. But it lasts about 3 hours long, and by the time that I'd finished it, I absolutely adored it. I think it's fantastic. It's the point that it makes is that if you put enough effort and thought into the most basic of ideas, you can create something interesting out of it. I mean, for starters, the only sort of unique thing about it is that it constantly fucks with perspective. And I don't mean like zooming in and out and going 3D and stuff like that. You're still basically looking at 2D circular mazes. But the further you move away from the centre, the more that everything sort of zooms out, and that fucks with your head a little bit. And every time you die, it rotates round, say, 30 degrees. And all of a sudden, although you're doing the same bit of the puzzle again, or the same bit of the maze again, because you're heading in a different direction than you were the first time, it kind of fucks with your brain a bit, and it feels like you're doing it for the first time again. And it's full of so many clever little ideas. And what I mean by that is that throughout the whole game, all you're doing is using the left stick to move about. That's it. It doesn't introduce a new mechanic. It doesn't introduce new... the obstacles that you come across seem to be pretty consistent throughout the whole thing. It doesn't introduce like new things all the time, but it's just the way that it changes how you're getting past things, and the way each obstacle moves means that you have to rethink the way that you approach each part of the game. And then as you're playing, the music starts to build up, and it's got bosses, but they're not bosses. They're just bigger sections of mazes, and they're a little bit more intense. And you've got suddenly you're sitting up and concentrating on what you're doing rather than just shifting this square around the screen. And it's beautiful. Like, it's utterly stunning to look at throughout. It's interesting to look at it, the sort of imagery and the shapes it creates just by these moving platforms. It's really interesting, and I love games that are about 3 hours long, that you can get through. They're not bloated. It didn't feel that there was a section that I was doing that just felt like it was in there to fill out a bit of time. Everything felt necessary for what the game was. And by the end of it, I was just like, okay, yeah. When I see games like this, I constantly think, is this going to be pretentious, or is this going to actually feel like art? You know what I mean? And this one nails it. It nails it. There's not much to it, and I think there will be people that even look at it and just think, nope, that's not for me. That's not the sort of game that I like to play. But I was really surprised. I didn't expect to like it. By the end of it, I didn't expect to like it as much as I did. When I first started out, I was thinking, this is going to disappear up his own arse, and it doesn't. It just pushes you through these mazes, and by the end of it, you've had a good few challenging areas to get through. You've had to sort of tune your brain to understand what you have to do to get from point A to point B, and the music's wonderful and visually it's wonderful as well.
This game is great on mobile.
How would you? I don't know how you would control it, because like dragging the square wouldn't
I was
feel
thinking
as.
using like accelerometer.
There are sections of that game
Would
where
that
you
not
need the
work?
precision to.
Like, like using the accelerometer, would that not work?
I suppose it would, but you need to be you need to be really precise with certain bits, especially sort of what I'm calling the boss areas, the sort of bigger maze bits, because there are bits where it's firing at all cylinders at you, and you're like, okay, it's never too difficult. It never goes anywhere near Cuphead or anything like that, but there are moments where you okay, I need to concentrate for a little bit to get past this bit. And you know, when you do die, the checkpointing is so generous that it never gets frustrating that you have to start again. There are moments where it does send you back further than you used to, but they feel necessary. It feels like, okay, no, this is actually challenging me to do this, and it's not just going to let me hit the checkpoint and restart 2 seconds earlier this time. And yeah, I'm really, really surprised. Really, really enjoyed it. And I think it's around £13. I'm not sure it fully justifies that, but if you ever see it for around a tenner, I would definitely pick it up if you're into these sort of games, because I think you get a lot out of it. Really clever.
The one on PS4 apparently comes with a soundtrack as well. You said the soundtrack's good, right?
Yeah, and the way it builds as you're playing, like, and sometimes it moves in, like, platforms will move in time to the music and add to the music and stuff like that. But the way it sort of builds the layers of the music as you're playing through each world is really clever and works really well. Yeah, I loved it. It's one to look out for because I'd never heard of it. It'd been out for 2 years. I'd never heard of it. But now it's on PS4 and stuff. It's maybe it'll get onto your radar. And again, if you like very simple games, then this is definitely one to look out for. I really enjoyed it. So I played that, and the last game we're going to talk about is Golf Story, which came out for the Nintendo Switch last week. Know about this. I think it was last Thursday. So this was on the Nintendo Indies stuff. They didn't really push it. They dropped a couple of trailers on their Nintendo Directs, and it was an instant, like, people sort of just caught onto it and was like, well, hold on, what was that? And it appeared to be an RPG, what looked like a JRPG with the normal sort of turn-based, what do you call it? The turn-based, what they call it?
Strategy?
Come on, fighting.
Turn-based
whatever.
RPG?
No, yeah, the sort of combat, that's it, that's the word I'm looking for. The turn-based combat has been stripped out and it looks like it's replaced with golf, which was an interesting concept. It was like, okay, I like the idea of a JRPG that has all these characters and all this world that's built up around you, but I don't like that sort of combat. So replacing it with golf, which is something that I do like in games, I'm interested. Turns out it's more of a golf game than it is an RPG. It is essentially a golf game with a story wrapped around it. There's still stuff where you level up and you get cash and you can spend that, but it's all very basic and very linear and you need to go here and do this, you need to go here and do that. And there isn't sort of dialogue choices or anything like that. It's literally just going to characters and them saying, there's a problem in this golf course, we need your help to do this. And the challenges are stupid. They're like, there are birds over there and they're angry because we've got all their eggs. You have to hit the eggs into their nest and, shit like that. But it's a decent golf game. I would say it's not as good as Everybody's Golf in terms of the golf itself. It's a lot more basic than that. It's deeper than I thought it would be. You can still put on backspin and curves and, all that sort of stuff. Precision shots. The more you play, the more sort of abilities you unlock with your golf, and you get like better clubs and stuff like that. What it does do though, it's really funny. Like, it's got some real laugh out loud moments to it. And I was getting a little bit bummed out with it last night when I was playing it, because I was just doing challenges, just doing missions to get to the next bit, and there wasn't that much comedy in it. But the bit I've just done is sort of, it feels like, okay, I'm starting act 2 of this now, and it was just, there was a scene in it that had me laughing throughout the whole thing. The writing is absolutely superb, and some of the characters are just brilliant in it. That's fine enough with me, because I, as we've said about Everybody's Golf games are very relaxed. You know, you can get stressed out with them if you're shit at putting and stuff like that, but it's all pretty standard golf stuff, and it's you can get through courses without even thinking about it, without like worrying too much about the wind or, you know, where you're actually hitting it and stuff. It's just the dressing around it. So I'm playing this sort of relaxing golf game, but also really enjoying the plot and the characters and the way everyone's interacting with each other. And that just makes it a really enjoyable experience. And to have it on the Switch, again, as we say with so many games, to have access to it whenever I want, just to play it for like half an hour here and there when Joe's watching some shit telly is just perfect, because it's just an enjoyable game to play.
It looks so nice. I love the look of it.
Yeah, there's part of me that feels like I shouldn't worry about the developer because they've put this game out and they're asking for money for it. But there's part of me that thinks this game kind of blew up because it was put on these Nintendo Directs, and although that's good for the developer, it also puts them under a lot of pressure and expectations are raised. I've seen people complaining to the devs saying, why is there not a female choice of character? And I just kind of think, I'm pretty sure it's one or two dudes working on this game, and they would have to rewrite a load of text and work a load of shit out to get a female character in. So digging them out about that straight off the bat is maybe a little bit strong. And you know, there's a few glitches in it where I've got stuck in scenery and I've had to reset the game, and there's a bit of a problem with communication on what you're supposed to do. So at the start, it kind of tells you to do these missions, but it doesn't point you in any sort of direction, and there's a lot of working it out and working out what the devs are trying to get you to do next. It has a problem with that. But once you sort of understand what the game, like the direction the game's going, then you sort of naturally start to go towards where it's pointing you. It needs like a mini map. There's no mini map, so in the towns you can get lost or confused as to where to go, which is a bit shit. But other than that, I mean, I'm really, really enjoying it. I think I've played it for about 4 or 5 hours, and I'm nowhere near done with it. It seems like it's very, very long.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that, because obviously when I heard the word RPG, I think, oh god, I haven't got like 100 hours, which silly, because I'll put at least 4 times that into Destiny. But you know, I don't want to play like a really, really super long game. And do you get an impression that this is going to be a massive game to play? I
don't know. There are several areas that I'm nowhere near unlocking yet. There seems to be a structure on it where you build up to compete in a tournament in each town. I'm on the 3rd town, or I've just finished the 3rd town, and the 4th town hasn't unlocked, and there's already 2 that I can see near me that I haven't gone anywhere near yet. And what you tend to do is you go into a town and there's loads of side quests to do. Many of them you have to do to unlock the tournament in that specific town. But I don't know, man. I don't care. Like I've really enjoyed just going around chatting to people and seeing what funny stuff it throws up. The humour is light. Like there's no sort of, it's not aiming to be this, you know, great comedy and this edgy. There's no edginess to it. It's all pretty light humour, but the way it's delivered is so good. So good. There's a scene where your coach meets his idol, and that's the one I've just done, and I thought it was fucking hilarious. The timing and what the writing, what the characters were saying was just so funny that I had to take a photo of it and just send it to Sean because he's playing it at the same time, and I was just like, I love this bit. I thought this was brilliant, and he said, yeah, that's where he got back into it, because he had a bit of a lull with it as well. That's, you know, where he's got back into it. You planning to pick this up then, John, or no?
At some point, I'm definitely going to play it. I think with everything else that's out at the moment, I talked about this before. I don't want to pick this up, play it for a bit, go, oh yeah, I like that, and then just drop it, and then a million things pile on top. I might, inevitably it'll be in sale, and that's not to say it's too expensive, but that's just more of a timing thing. Say there's a sale for this in January, I'm like, oh yeah, perfect timing.
How much is it?
It's like 12, 13 quid. Oh, look at you. I don't need to know how much these things cost.
David Turner, for fuck.
It's 13, I think.
13 quid?
Yeah.
I'll buy it. It's totally
Yeah,
worth
no, it's not. It's
that.
not.
I mean, just even for the golf alone.
You've deliberately misunderstood what I meant. I said
No. I was talking to the listeners
dare
then,
you.
not you specifically.
it's all right. But yeah, in January, when it's on sale in January, so sort it out. Sidebar Games, put it on sale in January. Lids.
Yeah, but I mean, and James, I think you'd love it. And it says a lot that it has a main story mode and it has a golf mode as well. So you can just play the golf stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were worried that it was going to be some half-baked golf game that was really sort of more of an RPG than it was, concentrating on what you're actually doing in terms of gameplay, it's not that at all. The golf is actually really fun to play. And it's a lot deeper than I ever thought it would be in terms of what you can do and how the golf plays. It's really good fun. Really good fun.
Yeah, I thought you would have picked this up,
I think
James,
you'd all
already.
really like this.
No, I didn't actually know anything about it, but after all this, it does sound like something that may be suitable, actually. Especially, I mean, I'm more interested in the story side of stuff than the golf, but golf's fine.
Yeah, and the story, it's not even that the story's that good. The story is, okay, let me give you an example. So the story is about there's a kid who was being taught how to play golf by his dad, but he was never really good enough to enter tournaments. And then later on in his life, you grow up and he's like, no, this is it. I want golf to be my life. I'm going to enter this tournament. And he goes to this town where everyone's playing golf and they all laugh at him because he's got a shit swing. And it's basically him earning the respect of everyone and then trying to, become the best golf player in the world. But that's as basic as the story is. There's no sort of big world building. There's no sort of plots and twists or anything like that, or at least there's not in the 4 or 5 hours I've played. But the charm comes in it is that everyone around him is clearly taking advantage of him and being a complete dick to him. But the character's just like Mr. Nice Guy. Like he's walking around with a big smile on his face and just accepting, like, even when people are saying you're shit and you don't deserve to play golf, he's just like, okay, yeah, I'm not that good, am I? But I can get better. Like he's entering tournaments and the guy that first saw him play golf was like, okay, yeah, but I get all the winnings. I get all the money. And he's like, okay, yeah, I mean, I suppose you did see me first. And that doesn't get old. The fact that he's just this Mr. Nice Guy that doesn't quite understand that everyone around him is an arsehole is that is enough to get quite a few laughs out of me already. Just the way he's reacting to stuff. And that's a very small example of why I'm enjoying it so much. It's little things like that. Yeah, well worth picking up. Perfect for the Switch. Oh Jesus! It's got HD rumble in it as well, which is well used. But fuck me, is it intense? Like it's constantly using the HD rumble. Every time the ball hits the floor, there's like quite a sharp jab of vibration, and every dialogue box is ended with just like a jolt of your Switch. It's pretty mad. You can turn it off in the main menu, but. Yeah, there should be a lot of games that use HD Rumble have a slide on how intense it is. Have you noticed that?
No.
Sorry, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, no. There's
I haven't seen that.
Tumbleseed was the first one I noticed it in. There's a few others that use it where you can just turn the intensity down. This game needs that, okay. I think, especially because fucking HD Rumble's loud, and when I'm playing in bed and my wife's asleep next to me, and just hearing you just see her looking like I'll open one eye and think, well, we're probably not going to be married the next day. Jesus Christ.
Does it do the thing where it does sound like, it does feel like the golf ball is going into the hole, or is it just rumble at this stage?
Yeah, it feels like the ball, especially when the ball's bouncing on the green and stuff. It feels like something's thudding down on the floor. And that's cool. It doesn't, like, you can't feel it in your hands. It's just got that very distinctive jab of vibration. And yeah, it works. I mean, it works well. It's just way too intense at the moment.
Does FIFA do anything with HD Rumble, James, or not?
It does not, no. I've not noticed. I mean, obviously, if you hit the bar, it rumbles, but that's about it. There's not much more.
That's a shame. Oh, mate, have you taken a penalty in the last second? Maybe it's got like heartbeat stuff.
Oh yeah, it does. Yeah, it does do that actually. Yeah, it does the where if you got, like when it does the thing where you you've got to, you have to score this penalty, and if you don't, then you're done. It does that whole mad vibration stuff.
But does it like feel like heartbeats, or is it just vibrating?
Yeah, it is. It's like it's more like heartbeats. It's like that kind of thing. It's all right.
Okay. Yeah, so that's it. That's what we've been playing this week. We should probably get onto emails and get the fuck out of here.
So if you want to email us, it's thecomputergameshow@gmail.com. The first one we got is, I think this is like a delayed one from the live show from Adam. He says, hey guys, congrats on an awesome live show. I loved it. I was a bit gutted my message for Sean wasn't read. And when I checked, I was proper gutted to find this in my outbox with an error. Very annoying. Any chance of addressing it in the next pod? Well, that's what I'm doing now. So he says...
God.
He says, you asked for best memories of Sean, so I suppose mine is his passionate love of cheese. I've never known anyone to get their fondness for fromage into everyday conversation as much as Mr. Bell, and even stranger it seems to be whenever he receives a compliment. Listen back to some other shows. So the listener says, thanks for always being the voice of reason, Sean. And then Sean says, cheese. Listener, Sean will make a great dad. And Sean says, cheese.
Oh, I see. I see.
Listener, good luck with parenthood, Sean. You'll be great. And Sean says, cheese. Okay. Just something I picked up.
We get it.
Yeah. But at the end of my compliment, I always look forward to the inevitable reference to cheddar. Coming from a father of two, I can say without hesitation there will be times over the months of October and November when you'll be questioning your life. The impact on your life is...
Questioning your life?
Yeah. The impact on your life is literally nuclear, that nothing will be the same. On the flip side, you will have a child and you will love them more than anything in the world. Being a parent is the most rewarding, fun, life-affirming and heartwarming thing ever, and I know that in those lonely, dark and cold morning hours you'll keep that in mind, Sean. You're going to smash being a dad, and your child will be lucky to have you. Have fun. And I also like Rockford, so feel free to say so if cheese is too modest for such an occasion. So, questions. What is the best, as in technically and playability, mobile game you've ever played? Consider buying Old Man Journey, if this helps with my thinking.
John, you first. What's the best mobile game you've ever played?
New Star Soccer, probably, before it changed.
It's
and
a good one.
Yeah, it went all weird.
Yeah, it did go a bit weird, didn't it? We'll have to rouse a little bit. They got to earn money, but
God, yeah.
at the same time, I sort of fell out of love with it pretty quickly after the sort of first main big update
same,
that they did.
Yeah, that'll definitely be the one for me.
Most played disc driving, obviously, but my fondest is probably Lara Croft Go. I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah, I never played that. I should play that at some point. Yeah, I liked Hitman Go, but again, fell off with it pretty hard.
Yeah, I didn't really get on with that, but Lara Croft Go, brilliant.
Mine would be, there's a puzzle game called Freeze that I like.
James?
Okay.
It's got to be Happy Street, isn't it? No, I'm joking.
Oh, Happy Street was the bollocks.
Oh, man. Isn't it Mr. Krabs for you
Happy
two?
Street.
Yeah, Mr. Crab was...
Mr. Crab is up there as well.
Mr. Crab was excellent. I still play, like, on a daily basis, Letterpress. Do you remember that?
Wow,
No.
do you? That is old
Yeah,
school.
I've still got
Letterpress?
people I play that with. They
Holy
who still
crap.
love it. And we... Eh?
I can't believe people are still playing that.
What's Letterpress?
It was... it's the one where you have to, like, you just make up words, basically. And, from a grid.
You know that thing everyone played in, like, 2009?
Oh, yeah, shit, yeah. Holy shit, yeah. I'm still playing that and chess with friends.
Matt's still playing Fire Emblem Heroes. We're gone.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. I'm now up to 11,263 games of Freeze, just in case you're interested. Right. Okay, next question.
Stout or lager?
Different drinks, different needs.
Probably... Yeah, that. Stout in the winter, lager in the summer.
Lager, I don't like stout, but I like other beers.
Do you not like
No.
Guinness?
Oh, love a
Oh,
Guinness.
wow, that
love
Guinness
a
is
Guinness.
glorious.
My love for stout
Yeah.
is bigger than lager, but you can't beat a lager in the sunshine, can you?
No, you can't. No, you can't, Lid.
James?
Also lager.
Sometimes cider.
Go on.
Question 3. I have an Xbox One X to replace my standard Xbox One on pre-order. I'm wary. In a world where you represent Microsoft, convince me to keep my pre-order. In the spirit of optimism, take it away, Matt. And James, keep it zipped.
Do you like playing on Xbox, where you've got a lot of backwards compatible games, and if you've got a 4K TV, even better. But you should probably get a PS4.
Sorry, we seem to have been invaded by Major Nelson there. Jesus Christ, Matt, come on. There's got to be a little bit more effort into that, please.
I can't think of anything else, any other reason to do it.
It's the best.
Look,
it's the most powerful console out there, mate.
Yeah, the most powerful console, potentially best looking multiplayer, multi-platform games.
It's the best looking multiplayer.
Let's go have a great version of PUBG in November.
Good triggers.
No.
Next.
Okay, that's the end of his questions. He just says, as always, loving the show, guys. You provide an equal amount of entertainment each week to anything else I subscribe to, such as Netflix. Please remind me of the tip jar. I'll be gladly chucking in some for you.
Whack it in there.
I'm also doing now. If you want to donate to tip jar, it's paypal.me/thecomputergameshow.
Yeah, we said it was going to be monthly, but okay, fine. Next question.
Hi guys, I'm currently creating a fantasy world for Dungeons & Dragons, a game that I'll be running soon, and while creating the map, I've decided to include an island called Farley. What kind of horrors or possibly delights do you think you might find there? At some point my players will face a door with an unpickable lock. Always love the show. That's from Jim Graver.
Farley Island. Jesus Christ. I mean, if it's based on Farley's... if Farley was running it, then, I mean, his moral standpoint and everything is a disgrace. You've just got to look at, how he played The Walking Dead, how he played Life is Strange. It just makes all the wrong decisions. Gears of War.
That's breaking the rules, isn't it? Yes.
Oh, look at him. He's a rule breaker. James Farley is currently sitting there in a leather jacket and some aviator glasses and a white T-shirt.
Yeah,
saying, I don't care, man.
Sergio Giorgini. You can still find me. I haven't played Dungeons and Dragons, but if it's a sort of game where you can get +5 cynicism, is that going to affect? Is that going to negatively affect your squad going through the dungeon?
Squad. I don't know.
You're asking the wrong question. It's
It would be a shithole. Next question.
Thanks. Dear Shaunus Ones, you talked about how Destiny 2 had some moments of hugeness when you felt small and could appreciate how gigantic certain things were. You also said that you thought games don't do this enough. What games do you think did it best? That's from Nick Hannon.
We gave a couple of our answers, like when we were talking about it. Portal 2 was fantastic for
Definitely.
that. I mentioned the huge vault door in that game was utterly stunning. I also got totally weirded out, and I've mentioned this before, in Forza Horizon 2 with the massive airship. I don't know what it was, but it was that huge shadow, and seeing that massive plane just above my head made me feel a bit ill because of the scale of the thing. So yeah, that was pretty impressive. I remember playing Halo 1 for the first time and seeing, you remember when you looked up and saw the Halo world going over your
that
head.
was a great moment.
That was insanely impressive.
Jumping off the Zeppelin in Battlefield 1 is pretty cool. The
Zeppelin is pretty good in that. That's another one, definitely.
Most recently, definitely Breath of the Wild was like that, because it nailed that whole sort of, you can see, you can go anywhere, and it
did, but that's not, I don't think that's the example we're looking for, because what we're talking about, the sense of scale don't get me wrong, the sense of scale in Breath of the Wild is fucking incredible, but what we're talking about is that weird feeling when you see something so huge that it weirds you out a bit.
You didn't get that. You didn't get those from the mazes, because I did from that, because they were massive.
And I was impressed when I looked down on them, but I didn't get completely freaked out. I was a little bit claustrophobic when you were in them. But yeah, no, this is more like looking up at, like the example we gave was looking up at Canary Wharf and just going, no, I'm not comfortable with that.
I played a fair few bits of GTA 5 in first person when it came out on current gen consoles now, and playing that in first person, looking around the world, that was great. That felt like a totally different game.
Yeah, it did. John, you got any examples?
It's stuff inside VR, isn't it? It's that Robinson, the Journey with the giant dinosaurs. The beginning of the Batman Arkham VR, when you just look up and the guy that kills Bruce Wayne's parents is staring down on you, and you're the size of a child, so he just feels enormous. And the fact that it's truly 3D and you're right in it, it makes such a difference. Even the beginning of the the VR like mode mission, the VR like trench run mission from Star Wars Battlefront, like the little add-on they did. That when it opens, you're basically underneath one of those big walkers, and you can look up, and it just looks absolutely enormous. That made my knees go a little bit. I get that same thing looking up at giant buildings as you do, Canary Wharf and in New York and things like that. So yeah, I've definitely had that. But yeah, after doing the VR ones, I don't really get it so much in flat games.
Area X is probably a good shout as well. The first time you get in and see the lady.
Yeah, I mean, anything in VR, basically. It's, I mean, half time I spent in VR for me is like just looking at the scenery, because it's like, wow, this is massive. Good stuff.
Yeah. Okay, next question.
So with the lack of show last week, I've been listening to Joypod with recommendation from the TCGS community. Having discovered Mr. Turner and Dr. Farley on Dark Halls and subsequently jumping over to TCGS, I just wanted to know what happened to David from the early days of Joypod to now. Did something happen? Did you come back from a war with PTSD? Was the birth of your child the reason for the change, or simply just sick of the shit people chat? Because the change I have noticed is your bitterness towards the industry and presenting at large. I can tell you still enjoy podcasting, but after doing it for most of your adult life, has the lustre of being the main one lost its sparkle? You seem to have lost your spunk and dynamism. Don't get me wrong, I really enjoy Bitter David. It keeps flow and banter bus rolling. Anyway, just an observation, not meant to cause offence. And that's from Oodles.
No offence taken. I don't know what you mean. I don't think I'm bitter towards the industry, am I?
I wouldn't say so, mate.
No, I wouldn't say so.
I love the industry. I think it's amazing. I'm really passionate about games and that. I am more grumpy, and nothing has changed other than when I was a little bit younger, I was worried about what people thought of me. And I was like, one thing we said when we first started the computer game show, when we would talk about what sort of style of show we wanted to do, one thing that I said is that, one thing we can't do is hold back. Whereas like on Joypod, if I said something, I thought, I'm not going to say that because I might upset someone, or I'm not going to say that because, it's not the right thing to say, and I have to understand other people's points of view. Now I just don't give a fuck. Honestly, I don't care. I just do whatever. That's probably why that's all coming out. I'm trying to remove that filter now and just let you know what I think without having to think, but actually you might like this game, so I'm not going to slag it off too much. Well, you might... fuck off, just whatever.
Just endlessly agreeing with all the other hosts.
Yeah, as for the way I talk about the listeners and stuff and how I don't want to know any of you, I've always thought that.
Never changed.
So I just didn't say it at Joypod. I'm saying it now. I don't want to know you. Next question.
Hey guys, I've been playing the COD World War II multiplayer beta this last few days and haven't been very impressed. The latest iteration brings nothing new and reskins old elements to make them seem new. So with the release of the old game just over a month away, I wanted to ask, is anyone on the show excited to play this new World War II Call of Duty? Will anyone be playing it on the day of release? That's from Ben.
I haven't been interested in the multiplayer side of things for a long time, but I haven't been interested in the single player side of things for a while, and I think that this might change that. Everything I've seen of the single player looks brilliant, so I will probably play that, but go nowhere near the multiplayer.
Yeah, exactly the same. But I won't be buying it. I'll wait till it's super cheap and secondhand somewhere to play single player. Whereas previously I would have bought that, played single player on day one, then gone multi. I just too many other things to play, but. The multiplayer interests me. I mean, single player interests me definitely, but not enough to pick it up. No way.
That is something that's changed as well, isn't it, over the last couple of years with COD games? Because they used to hold their value for a long time, but now they really don't. You could get Infinite after a couple of weeks. It was down to £20 or whatever, and yeah. So that's good.
Yeah, I mean, I know what you're saying with the holding value, but they were never insanely expensive games, even at launch. I mean, we remember the old days when it was probably at its peak. The supermarkets would still sell them for £25 on launch day, and it was what the fuck is going on here? So yeah, I've never seen them as really expensive games that sort of held their value that much. So I don't know. Maybe it was just my experience. But yeah, I didn't like where they went with the single player stuff, and if it's going back to feeling like an army game again, then I'm all over it. All over that. John, you pick it up?
I mean, I'm kind of interested in the single player, but I get the feeling I'd just bounce off it. I like what I've seen so far. I didn't like. I really didn't like the multiplayer. I just felt like it felt old. I felt like I played it before. It's fine in isolation, but I why would I want to play that again? It's like I checked afterwards after feeling that, and I checked how many mainline Call of Duty games have there been. And do you want to take a guess?
It's a lot. Isn't it like 12 or something like that?
I was going to say 12.
This is 14. Call of Duty 14.
Oh,
Jesus.
So if you think about that style of multiplayer has been in there since 4, really. That's a lot. That's a lot of years for basically playing the same thing, especially as this one's taking that big back step into being more like the older ones. So I get that some people like that, but I can't see me spending too much time with it, to be honest.
I think I was listening to I think it's Giant Bomb or something. They made a fucking good point that one of the saddest things about Call of Duty at the moment is that they've chosen to just keep doing zombie modes rather than go back and look at Spec Ops again. Because that stuff was fucking so good in Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah, we love that, don't we?
Do you remember those nights, Matt?
Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
I like that. I remember that snow level. Not off by heart.
Yeah, that was class.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's a shame we don't see more of that, to be honest with you. But there you go. They clearly have the data saying that no one played it. So what can you do? They're not going to bring it back if no one played it at the time, whatever. Next.
First time emailer, as Dave didn't reply to my text. Has Dave managed to locate Kilton in Zelda Breath of the Wild? As when I mentioned this to him the other day, he looked at me like I was talking complete and utter bullshit. As I'm sure some of you will know, Kilton sells exclusive monster-themed merchandise in exchange for monster parts. However, finding them can be a bit of a pain in the arse. Also, has anyone else gone back to playing Breath of the Wild after completing it and found any other exciting places to visit on the map? That's from Carl Hickman.
Firstly, a bit of backstory. Carl is... there's a weird sort of relation there. But I saw him this weekend, and we were talking about Breath of the Wild, and he'd completed it, and I completed it, and I'd done stuff afterwards that he hadn't, and he'd done stuff that I hadn't. Then he sent me a text on how to do the stuff that he was talking about. I didn't know I was supposed to respond to that, Carl, so sorry about that. But more importantly, I had no idea that you could get these masks and dress as enemies and walk amongst them without being seen. Did you guys know this?
Yeah, I knew that. I stumbled across that guy.
That's really cool that I've put 70 odd hours into this game and still didn't know this stuff was in there. I love shit like that. Because I was playing it, I switched it on again for the first time in a while last week, and I found behind the hidden forest where all the seeds gather.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where you have to try and find it by following the flame. There's another forest behind that that's in pitch black. So I found that out of nowhere, and that was amazing. And then I found all this sort of stone structure, but it was all I was walking around and my shrine thing started kicking off, and I was like, well, there must be a shrine around here, but I've got no idea where it could possibly be. And I thought, hold on, this looks like the roof of something, and then dropped down and it was a huge temple filled with guardians. And I was like, what? This is brilliant. I'm still finding new stuff. I'm still seeing new stuff. I'm still hearing new bits of music that I've never heard in the game before. It's really fucking incredible how good that game is and how much shit is in there that you just will never see unless you've covered every inch of that map. It's really, really something special, that game. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I did the exact same thing. I completed it, thought I was done with it, was fully prepared to sell it, and I've played essentially the same amount of time again in that game, but just mopping stuff up and just travelling about and stuff. That's a perfect Sunday morning game with the boy where he's not really interested in playing just yet. He wants to wake up first, but he's quite happy sitting there on the sofa just pointing at places and telling me to go there, and then off I trot. It's nice. Really good. Love it. Have you completed it since we last spoke, John?
Since we last spoke on a podcast, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I finished it a few weeks ago, finally. I still feel that there's plenty to do. I think I finished on maybe 50-odd shrines, something like that. There's so much to do, but I went back to it a bit, and I just felt like this is the time to move on and do a bunch of other stuff, and maybe I'll go back to it when that second DLC drops. because I don't feel like I'm done with it, but I felt like it was time to move on. But yeah, what a magical
Just drop it
experience!
for a bit, yeah.
Exactly that. And like the greatest game ever to play on a train, just takes you to this like serene world where you can just completely lose all of these people around you. I love playing the Switch on the train generally, but nothing's ever compared to playing that. It's a truly magical experience.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the same, and I stopped playing it for a bit after I completed it. But then there'll be a point where you're just sitting there and you'll put your Switch on and you think, I wouldn't mind just popping that back in again. And then all of a sudden, all the feelings you've had while playing that game just come flooding back, and you're like, oh God, this is amazing. I'm going to play this for another 40 hours. Goodbye. Yeah, fucking well good. Matt, but how about you? Have you gone back to it?
No, I've sold it, but I will.
You haven't? Have you actually sold it?
Yes, of course I did.
But
Matt, do you
didn't
actually
you have
own
the
any
content
Switch
pack?
games apart from Mario Kart that you can't get rid of?
Mario Kart, Sonic Mania, some others I can't remember.
Didn't you buy the DLC though?
No, God no.
Oh,
But
right.
I
thought you
probably
all
will
had
do
it.
if that's amazing and rebuy the game later.
Strange man. Okay. Next question.
Okay. Oh, sorry, I've already gone down. Okay, 2 related questions. With Doom, FIFA, etc. coming out on Switch, do you feel like you should buy these games on the system as a way of encouraging more AAA third-party games for the Switch, or just act like a consumer and just buy on whatever system is best for you? As an example, I just bought Doom for £5 second-hand for PS4. Similar applies to Skyrim and the next Wolfenstein game, which will be a good few months old by the time it gets to Switch, and I doubt I'd want to buy it twice. Do you think third-party support will dwindle like the Vita and Wii U? And that's from Jon Denton.
You can't go around living your life like that. I mean, it's a very noble
pointless
idea.
anyway, isn't it?
I'm going to buy this game to support third party. No, you can't live your life like that. Just buy a game if you know you're going to play it. Like I love Doom. I love the fact that it's come to Switch. There's no way I'm buying it for completely on the PS4 for.
Yeah, but
you know what I mean?
but then you are also going to buy Rocket League, regardless of how much you played it on PS4.
Yeah, because I know that I'm going to play that a lot.
Exactly. Yeah.
It lets me play it when I haven't got access to the TV. So there's a reason for buying that. I'm not going to buy a game just so I'm supporting third-party games on the Switch. That's mad. That's mad. And do I think it'll dry up? I don't think it will. If the sales keep going for the Switch, that's the main thing. Get the more Switches out there, the more third-party support it's going to get. Simple as that.
But then thinking about the FIFA 18, as Farley said, if like the online is just like is dead because people think, well, Nintendo haven't bothered, and so will people be bothered to buy third-party games which get ported over if they know, well, I'm not going to play with my mates, so I just won't bother?
Well, I mean, not all games are multiplayer games, are they?
No, of course not. But I think that'll definitely affect whether people even bothered by third-party games on Switch. Knowing full well,
yeah, I mean, you're
no
not going to see you're not going to see Far Cry on the Switch. You're not going to see not the Far Cry that we're going to be playing on PS4 next year. But I think there'll still be quite a few, and even that, I mean, it's totally getting the indie support. And if there's some good indie games coming out, it's going to replace that Vita sort of space. Yeah, I think it's not going to be like the Wii U where it is just Nintendo games coming out for it. No chance. What do you think, John?
Sorry, what was the question?
Okay, next question.
Okay. Okay, should we do tweets?
Yeah, let's do a couple and then call it a night.
Okay, Jamie says, now you're free of the shackles of Bell, will you be rebranding as the Shooty Bang Bang Show?
No. Next question.
Okay, Rick Brooks says, I'm getting a 1X to upgrade my old 360. What 3 essential Xbox One, in brackets only, games should I buy that I may have missed?
Forza
Horizon 3.
I'm done, that's it.
Gears of War's meant to be really good.
Gears of War 4's supposed to be good, isn't it?
It's decent.
Yeah.
Not played it. But so, you played it,
Yeah,
didn't
it's
you, John?
decent. Gears of War 4's decent.
Huh. Now I'm struggling.
Rise? No. Yeah, Xbox One only. I mean, obviously, if if Rick had an amazing PC, he might have already played both those games, in fact, on PC, because they're both also on PC. But Xbox One only, I can't think.
If it was a couple of years ago, it'd be Rise of the Tomb Raider.
And Titanfall.
That come out on PS4 since. And Titanfall, yeah. They're big hitters. The ones that you were going to get an Xbox for that have now, they've gone. So it's a bit of a weird one.
I never played it, but Sunset Overdrive, wasn't that supposed to be good?
It was alright. It wasn't as good as... I mean, I didn't get on with it as much as some people did.
Yeah, I didn't either.
But yeah. Yeah, what Forza then, innit?
Yeah, I can't really think of it. But either that's on PC, like he might have played it on PC. That's the thing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but you can't say that. Whatever. Sea of Thieves is coming out soon.
Quantum Break?
Crackdown.
Crackdown. Yeah. It's not looking good for old Xbox, is it?
No, sorry.
Needs Left 4 Dead 3. Needs that game. Get that. Next.
Oodle says, I just want to know who's going to be the indie guy now.
We've all been... I've always been into indies, really, haven't I? I suppose not to Sean's level. I mean, indie for me is something that, indie for me is very different from indie for Sean. He finds games down back alleys, like in a bin bag, and talks about it as if it's tights too. So yeah, I haven't got that aspect, but I'll do my bloody best.
Yeah,
I'll do my bloody
best. We'll all pull our socks up. We'll all play the odd indie game.
It's easier to access them now because, we talk about it so often, but fuck me, being able to play the Switch for a lot longer, like in times that where you can't play your PS4 and Xbox, and if that's the main indie like console, then if I bought the Golf Story on the PS4, I wouldn't have played it anywhere near as much as I have already on the Switch. And there's a reason for that. So I think that's given us a better access to indie games for sure. Yeah, so me is the answer to that. Let's do one more.
I hate it when you do this.
Just do one more, James. Just pick one.
Okay. Why do you think there's still no YouTube or Netflix on the Switch? From Lingstud.
Okay, pick another one.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Okay, it recently took me 289 shots to smash a hole on Desert Golfing. What was your most frustrating game achievement?
Jesus.
Oh God, what game? I mean, there's been quite a few
mine.
Where I've been banging my head against the wall.
The Capra Demon, both times.
Oh God!
Fuck
my
that
God! The
motherfucker.
text
I was just
messages you were
thinking about
sending
that
me.
guy. Yeah.
The text messages you were sending me were hilarious. Just all day, one day, you would just fuck this game, fuck this guy, and I'm going, no, go for the dogs first.
Wasted a whole day of my working life
doing that?
Just I love that game.
That was amazing though. Didn't you have like your heart in your mouth kind of thing when you finally got him down to the end?
He texted me and said I didn't even have the satisfaction by the end of it. I just got angry at myself for spending so much time.
Exactly that. I was just angry. All I could do is picture was it Miyazaki? I'm tired. Sorry, Miyazaki's face. Miyazaki, what the fucking guy, the main guy. I'm sorry, I know his name. I'm just tired. All I could do is picture his little funny, friendly face, just laughing at me while his shit little room just kept breaking and the fucking dogs kept getting me absolute shit.
John, just say both names and I'll edit in the correct one.
Okay, Miyazaki.
That's definitely not the right one.
No.
It's Miyazaki, isn't it?
Mitsu.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Miyamoto.
It's definitely not Miyamoto.
Shigeru Miyamoto. Matt, have you got an answer?
It wasn't frustrating, but I remember practicing an awful lot to get a perfect 300 in Wii Sports bowling. To the point where half my body was deformed. My left side was quite well defined. My right side was a flabby mess.
Weren't you just doing that thing though where people I hated that when you went around someone's house and you're playing Wii bowling, there will always be some knobhead just going, you don't even need to stand up, look, I'm doing it from here, look,
God,
just flick my
no
wrist.
way, I was doing standing up in my pants. In my
same
my
here.
parents'
I was like
room,
proper running
my parents' house
across the front room.
And yeah, like, and basically like it was really hot because my parents were old and stuff, so I don't know, they had heating on full blast for some reason, so I can only really do it wearing my pants because it's sweltering in there. And then there was also like a full-length mirror alongside one wall, and I kept playing so much Wii bowling that I looked at myself one day and my left side was, defined. right side is weird. It's like two very, very different bodies on the same man.
Oh my god, he really made me choke. What a fucking weird story.
Yeah, mine was either Ornstein and Smo in Dark Souls. I'm trying to remember one of the other ones that really took me a long time.
Oh,
there was
fucking
a few.
second Whizpig in Diddy Kong Racing.
Oh god, of
anything
course,
Whizpig.
of course. Whizpig was the fucking
Piece of
nightmare.
shit.
It was a piece of shit. If you missed one boost, that was it.
Why
Game
not bother?
over. Fuck you.
Ah,
I
no.
was at that age where it was. That's all I
Exactly.
had. I didn't have
Yeah,
any
same
other
as
games,
that.
so that's why I had to bother. James, you said one.
Yeah, that door in Heavy Rain.
Of course.
Which was ridiculous.
Of course.
I genuinely thought I was not going to be able to do it at one point, and just thought, what am I going to do? There's loads of people watching. It was horrible.
Right, on that note, thanks for listening and thanks for living it. Matt, have you got anything to say?
I guess really just go to twitch.tv/computer game show and follow us ready for James's stream tonight if you're listening to us on Wednesday.
Maybe, yeah.
Remember to tweet out, let everyone know it's happening. John, thanks so much for coming on. Have you
thanks
got
so
anything
much,
to plug?
guys. Yeah, I'll catch everybody soon on the internet. Fucking hell. I think I fell asleep before. You might have been able to tell when.
Yeah. No, I was. Yeah, we were well aware.
Video of this. Have you got anything to plug?
Oh, yeah, well, yeah. Also, hit me up on Twitch, twitch.tv/Jon Denton. There's no H in that, John. And also the same name on Twitter and the same name on YouTube and all across the internet in different forms.
Goodbye, everyone. Good night,
Good night.
John.
There's no H in that, John.